happy Monday afternoon. Welcome to 580 Sports Talk. Brendan Dworzinski, Dan Lucero, and Spencer Dupuis here with you. The brackets are out. March Madness is here. The NCAA Tournament officially begins tomorrow night with the first four in Dayton, and we are going to break the whole bracket down today on 580 Sports Talk. That includes KU's draw. Jayhawks get a 4 seed. The number 2 4 seed, in fact, which I was a little surprised by. Hawks are off to Salt Lake City. Hello, Crown Burger. Hello, Rancheritos 24/7 Mexican food.
Those are the only 2 restaurants you know from Salt Lake City?
They are indeed. Because I hit it Rancheritos, if not twice, maybe 3 times. Crown Burger, I told you guys, corned beef on a burger. Incredibly delicious. Better than you would expect.
Yeah, I'm going to have to take your word for it on that one.
Yeah, I would take your word for it as well. That doesn't sound too appetizing.
Oh, buddy, it's like this big as well. Oh, man, absolutely delicious. But we'll break down KU's draw. KU playing Samford, yes, Samford in the opening round. What does the rest of KU's pod look like? The Midwest region in general. Any other surprises from the Midwest? The Big 12, CJ Moore, as we talked about last week. No one covers the Big 12 more on like a professional level, like outside of the bloggers. No one covers the Big 12 better or more than CJ Moore. Not super high on the Big 12's chances.
Fading them extremely hard.
Yeah, fade the Big 12 this year. So we'll get to that all to lead off the show coming up here in just a moment. We'll talk some K-State. Cats are going to the NIT. Some controversy over this. A lot of NIT banter over the last 12 hours or so. Should they or shouldn't they have taken an NIT bid? So we'll talk about that. We'll get to the KU and K-State women as well. They're both going dancing. Both got top 8 seeds. The Cats are hosting. They are hosting Friday afternoon and hopefully on Sunday afternoon as well. Dan is going to be there for the opening round game as well against Portland. We're looking forward to that. We'll have that game on our airwaves here on 580 WIBW. So we'll talk a little bit about the women's tournament as well. Happy for K-State to get a top 4 seed. Happy for the KU women to solidly be in the field. Love to see that. That's all coming up this hour. We'll get to some other bracket notes in the 3 o'clock hour. Matt Verderame is going to join us to talk about the weekend that was in the NFL. A lot of news still pouring in. What is the latest with L'Jarius Sneed? That situation is getting weirder by the day. We'll get to that a little bit in the 4 o'clock hour as well. 580 Sports Talk headlines, some Royals news. Today, we know who the opening day starter is for the Royals. It surprises literally no one.
It's Jordan Lyles.
All of the goodwill the Royals had earned would be out the window if that had been the case.
I'm joking. Did you see he gave up 3 straight home runs to start a spring game this weekend?
I did indeed.
Mid-season form.
The more things change, the more they stay the same with Jordan Lyles.
It's Cole Reagan's, folks. Just if you haven't heard that news yet, that's who it is. I'm sorry that I did that to you on a Monday afternoon.
Don't scare us like
you
that.
didn't deserve that, and I apologize sincerely. I'm trying to get you excited for baseball, and then I dropped that nuke on you. Like it's real. I'm sorry. That's bad. I won't. I'll be nicer the rest of the way.
So we will get to all of that. Again, our headlines today. What is wrong with you? The good, the bad, and the ugly from the long sports weekend. All that. Plus, you are welcome to be a part of the show on the Top City Metal Supply text line, 785-272-9429. And you can find us on YouTube. Head over to youtube.com, search 580 Sports Talk. Go subscribe to our channel. We're approaching 500 subscriptions as we get close to the start of the NCAA tournament. Doesn't cost you anything. All you need is a Google or YouTube account. Go follow the channel, 580 Sports Talk, and you can watch the live stream and comment along with the show today. Do not forget that tomorrow from 2 until 6, we originally thought it was going to be 5:30, but now we're going to be there all the way until 6 o'clock. Yours truly, Dan, Spencer, we are all going to be at Prairie Band Sportsbook at the Prairie Band Casino and Resort in Mayetta tomorrow as we get ready for the men's college basketball national championship tournament and the start of the first 4 play-in games. We will be there. We would love for you to come and hang out with us as well. For the first 25 people that come to the sportsbook tomorrow, you walk to the counter, you go see our friend Vince and the rest of the counter crew. All you have to do is say parlay your way. Boom, $10 free bet. Part of the parlay your way current promotion they've got going on. at Prairie Band. You can enter a qualifying parlay your way ticket bet, and you are entered to win possibly tickets to Inter Miami versus Sporting Kansas City at Arrowhead Stadium. Can you say Lionel Messi? So all sorts of promotions going on. They've got watch party promotions for the tournament as well going on at Prairie Band. So join us up there tomorrow from 2 until 6 for a full edition of 580 Sports Talk. And speaking of the Men's College Basketball National Tournament, March Madness begins tomorrow night with the first four. Thankfully, KU not playing in that. The Jayhawks will play, in fact, the second to last tip-off of the day, Thursday night in Salt Lake City at the Delta Center against the Samford Bulldogs. KU gets a 4 seed, taking on a 13. It's KU, Samford, Gonzaga, McNeese. That is the pod from the Midwest region in Salt Lake City. Initial thoughts on this draw for KU. I've kind of zigzagged back and forth. Initially, I thought this was a rough draw for KU because Samford turns you over a lot. They shoot a ton of threes. What has KU had trouble with this year? Staying in rhythm offensively and not turning the ball over and guarding the three-point line along with shooting their own three-pointers. But then CJ in his piece for The Athletic today wrote, it's actually going to be a more open game, which should help KU, which has been a good transition team, offensively at least. Additionally, if Kevin McCullough and Hunter Dickinson play, I might just be able to bully Samford a little bit, just in terms of talent and size. That's going to be an advantage for KU. So initial round, kind of iffy on it. KU has more talent than a 13 seed, should still be able to win, even with the stylistic matchup. McNeese and Gonzaga could be tough second round. I don't know. I mean, when you're a 4 seed and you're not the number 1 4 seed, you're always going to run into complicated matchups. That's just the nature of the tournament. So it could be better, could be worse. I know that's not a super bold take by any means for KU, but again, that's what happens when you're a 4 seed. If you wanted to avoid this situation, win more games.
Yeah, I mean, straight up, you just had to win more games.
Yeah.
But it seems like Dickinson is definitely going to play. He already returned to practice, according to Coach Self, when he spoke last night. It's McCullough that the question is still out on when it comes to he hasn't. Dickinson returned a non-contact practice over the weekend, and he's expected to go today. McCullough, the whole plan was for him to just sit out until Monday, and they would reassess today. So maybe we'll hear some rumblings later on today about something.
That's the whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if those two play, Kansas, we know what they're capable of, for good and for bad.
Mm-hmm.
We know the caliber of team they're capable of beating. We also know the caliber of team they're capable of losing to.
Sure.
With both of those guys on the court. So, yeah, we know that this is a bit of a trick-or-treat basketball team, but certainly a higher ceiling with their two best players on the floor. Without those two on the floor, I still think Kansas probably has more talent than Samford, but it's a lot closer.
Mm-hmm.
And Samford plays the kind of style. It's very up-tempo. It's a lot of three-pointers. It's a lot of pressing that can give a team fits. It doesn't see a lot of that. And I'm of two minds. On the one hand, I think that Kansas would be much more better suited, even if they are shorthanded, if they have to limit the minutes or don't have Kevin McCullough, or if Hunter Dickinson's shaking off the rust. I think they're better suited to play a more open game,
Mm-hmm.
which is what Samford is going to play, because they do want to press and they do want to go fast. There'll be a lot of possessions. There'll be a lot of up and down. And that should help Kansas's offense, because they're a lot better in the full court than they are when they have to set up in the half court, especially if they're shorthanded, right? Because if they're like trying to beat a press and getting up and down and getting some number situations on the other end, then DeJuan Harris is a good finisher in those spots. KJ Adams is a great finisher in that spot. That might get Johnny Furphy going.
I was going to say, what feels better for a slumping, struggling Johnny Furphy right now? Running the floor in transition, getting downhill, or getting open looks from 3 in transition, or trying to get this stuck in the mud half-court offense to work?
Yeah, I think a transition game is one that KU would fare better in. And I think that this year they played a lot of teams in the Big 12 that don't play that kind of basketball. Like, who in the Big 12 thrived really playing a transition up and down basketball game? I don't know if there's anybody. Maybe TCU likes to play that way because they turn you over so much.
Yeah.
but a lot
They'd be at the top of the list. Yeah.
The Big 12 this year was a grinded out league. It was a half court league. It was not a real up and down, up tempo basketball league. So Kansas, with a team that didn't have a great half court offense and at times were bad when the shots weren't falling from the outside, I think should be better suited to put up a good number against a team that does want to press them and get in their face, because what Kansas does have is a veteran point guard. And if you want to handle the press, that's where you start. A point guard who's seen it all. And KU has one of those in DeJuan Harris. So on the one hand, I do want to say, okay, if they're healthy or healthy-ish, then yeah, I like their chances. They should beat Samford. The other part of it, though, is that Samford shoots a metric ton of three-pointers, and they might just go 17 of 39 from three, and
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It does not matter.
Like the BYU game.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you do in transition, unless you also match from three at least a little bit. Like if Samford goes 17 of 39 from three and KU makes like 6 or 7, that might be okay. If KU goes, 3 for 20 from three, then you're not okay. So,
good. Relying on Nick Timberlake.
Yes,
Fun.
yeah. So it really might just be, regardless. I mean, we can play the will he, won't he game with both McCullough and Dickinson, but this may very well turn out to be a make or miss basketball game. Samford is making their shots. They're going to keep this one close and maybe pull the upset. If they're not making their shots, then I don't know what their path is to beat KU, because they're not as efficient offensively as KU can be. If they do get the opportunities, I think they're going to get in the full court.
The thing about 3-point shooting in a game like this is a game where this isn't you go, Spike Albrecht is not on the other team, right? And you're just expecting, like, okay, we're expecting one thing, and then they shoot and pop off for a bunch of threes. Then all of a sudden, whoa, we weren't expecting this barrage. No, you know exactly what you are getting from Samford. So more than anything, this is about guarding the 3-point line. Look, you're going to give up threes in this game. That's just what's going to happen. That's how Samford plays. Can you make them contested? Can you force them to take them from off the line? Can you make them as difficult as possible? That is what KU's got to do defensively in this game. And again, it's easier to do that if you've got Kevin McCullough out there. One thing that I thought would be interesting about this matchup, and I can tell you this from experience because I have been to KU NCAA tournament games in Salt Lake City before. Of the 4 teams in this pod in the Midwest region, KU, Gonzaga, McNeese, and Samford, the least popular team is going to be KU. Kansas is used to opening weekend games being the more popular team there, and everyone always roots for if you're a neutral at these games, for the underdog, because you want to see the upsets, you want to see the madness. But generally speaking, where has KU played opening weekends? Wichita, Omaha, St. Louis, Tulsa. Even a few years ago when the closest site was down in Fort Worth back in 22, the championship year, there's a lot of KU fans in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and it's only a 7-hour drive. It's really not bad. There was a lot of KU blue and red in the crowd for those games. Those are generally the opening weekends that KU gets. They're going to be booed when they play the 13 seed, because it's going to be a more neutral crowd than normal that's going to get excited for Samford. If they ended up playing McNeese in the second round, same deal. Yeah. And I will, again, tell you this, from 2019, having been there, Gonzaga was not in KU's bracket that year, but was also based in Salt Lake City. There were a lot of Gonzaga fans near the Great Salt Lake that weekend. They travel well in general, and it's really not that far from Spokane to get to Salt Lake City.
And I think KU fans travel well, too. There's no doubt that KU fans typically turn out for that first weekend, but this being a bit more of a difficult trip than a 3-hour drive to Omaha or a 3.5-hour drive to Des Moines or a less than 2-hour drive to Wichita, combined with the fact that, again, this does not have the feel of a KU team that's just going to romp and stomp their way through the first 2 rounds. I wonder if that affects attendance in a meaningful way and dampens the turnout for KU fans.
It's just something to keep in mind. It is not going to be the easiest first weekend that KU has ever had. The rest of the Midwest region, any other thoughts on anything that stands out? Purdue is the number 1 seed in the region. I saw today, Reese Davis, who anchors ESPN's college basketball and college football coverage too, he was out with Pat McAfee, and he said he would be, quote, stunned beyond words if Purdue did not make it to at least the Elite Eight. And then just an addendum, he said, the question is if they can beat Tennessee. Again, Rick Barnes versus Purdue in the Elite Eight. If that's what you want to bet on, go for it. More power to you if you want to bet on those two entities to make the Elite Eight and play each other.
Somebody has to win that game. Like, I'm almost curious, fascinated by that possible Elite Eight matchup in the sense that somebody's going to get a monkey off their back, whether it's Matt Painter or Rick Barnes.
But why would anyone be stunned if Purdue gets eliminated early? It is Purdue. That's their whole thing.
Yes. Have you missed the tournament the last 3 years? Did you miss it last year?
What is it now that they've lost to a 14, 15, and 16 in 3 straight years?
Yes.
Why would you be surprised? Why in the world would you be surprised by that?
Now,
so that's the one thing that benefits KU here is they have the worst number 1 seed. And I know Purdue's got Zach Edey, and I know he's a star. What happens if Zach Edey struggles?
Then the freshman guards who were no-shows in the tournament last year, who are now sophomore guards, will have to show, basically. And I keep hearing Braden Smith, one of the best guards in the league. And every time I look up, he's either playing hurt or he's not playing well. I don't know. I don't trust Purdue. I don't have them out of the first weekend.
He is the worst aesthetic of any player in the tournament. I'm going to tell you that right now. Got the worst little goatee patch than I do. The high white socks. He wears all black shoes. He's got the shooter sleeves on. Horrible vibe.
If I'm Purdue, I'm doing whatever I can to urge Utah State across the finish line in that 8-9 game against TCU, because I am telling you right now, if it is TCU Purdue, TCU is sending the Boilermakers home. And I don't think this is a particularly good TCU team, but what do? They turn you over. And they actually have a big who can match up a little bit. That was TCU's whole thing the last couple of years. You had Eddie Lampkin 2 years ago, but last year they had any bigs. And they ran into Gonzaga, and Gonzaga had one of the bigs in Drew Timme and beat him and knocked him out of the tournament. This year, TCU's got at least a playable center in Ernest Uday to bang bodies with Edey a little bit. And they have a bunch of 25-year-old guards who are going to make life really difficult on Purdue's 19-year-old guards. TCU is winning that game if that's the matchup. I'm telling you right now. I don't know about TCU beating Utah State, but if TCU beats Utah State, they're also going to beat Purdue. I'm putting my name on it right here, right now. This is a region where there is a lot of potential for chaos. The 4 and the 5, Kansas and Gonzaga, feel very, very vulnerable.
But by the same token, they both feel like they could easily be Elite Eight teams.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
There's a very clear path for both of them.
Yes, this is maybe the one region where I feel like it could end up the chaos region. Like I have a double-digit seed into the Elite Eight in a different region, but this feels like the bracket where it's maybe the most likely that happens. Whether that's a red-hot Oregon team or whether that's McNeese or Samford catching good matchups all the way through if they pull a first-round upset. Yes, like this, we've been saying it all year about Kansas, and now that we've actually seen the bracket on paper, I still believe it's true about Kansas. They could lose in round 1 or they could go to the Final Four. Like, firmly, I can say that now about this bracket.
Look, we've covered the entire top half of the Midwest. We'll get to the other regions coming up at 3 o'clock. Wanted to get more, locally tied in here to lead off the show. The bottom half of this bracket, you mentioned Oregon. Texas is in this bracket. I have that. I'll tell you right now, and we'll get to our brackets more throughout the week. I've got Colorado State winning their play-in game on Wednesday night and then beating Texas in the first round. I think Colorado State is better than Texas. I do. You heard CJ on the show on Thursday. Said it's the most blah, like guaranteed tournament team all year. Like, what are they? Are they good? Is Texas good?
No idea.
I think Texas has some good players. I don't think they have a good coach. I don't think they're a good team.
I think they have a lot of good players, but I do not think they are well coached. And so I think there's a little bit of entropy there.
Rick Barnes is still at Tennessee, and
he sure is.
Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me the next 8 times, shame on me still. Like, why would you trust Tennessee at this point? So I think there's a lot of potential for chaos. And we haven't even mentioned the name of the team that I have going to the Final Four out of this bracket.
You too?
Creighton?
We're on the Creighton bandwagon.
I'm on the Creighton bandwagon. If it's not going to happen this year for Greg McDermott, I don't think it's going to happen at Creighton, to be honest with you. I like this Creighton team a lot. I love the way they play. I like the connectivity. I like the way the pieces all fit. I do think McDermott's a good coach. I've got Creighton going to the Final Four out of this bracket. I think it is wide open. I think this one and the West are the two most open of the two brackets, honestly.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. The Big 12 in general. Spencer told us earlier today, and I know you feel similarly, that this was the worst tournament he's ever seen. the Big 12 tournament this year.
That was pretty bad.
I mean, it was blowout after blowout. It was.
I just didn't feel like I was
ugly.
watching like any good games. Like
Yeah,
I tried to turn on the championship and it just
Another blowout.
it didn't
28-point
give me
game.
the feel.
Kind of a shocker, though.
Yeah, it was just one team would play well and the other team would miss all their shots. And that was every single game of the tournament.
Yes.
And you couldn't necessarily reasonably predict which team it was going to be that made all their shots and which team could not make a shot. But we only have one game on the final 4 days of the tournament within single digits. And that was K-State and Texas. That was it. That was the one. It was
crazy.
It was a one good game. K-State, Texas. I have right now 0 Big 12 teams in the Elite Eight.
Wow. I have, that's funny. I have 3. One is because even though this is the first time since I've ever made a bracket, I did not pick KU to win it.
If I put one in, it's going to be Kansas.
Yeah.
Houston, to me, I think they're out in the Sweet 16. They're not big. They're banged up. I think that I have Duke beating them in the Sweet 16.
Okay, Duke. I was going to say, because I think that's a very flawed area, too.
I think Houston.
I almost put them in by default.
I think Houston's loss in the Big 12 title game the way they did.
Mm-hmm.
I think that kind of rubbed me the wrong way about how far they would make it in the tournament this year.
They're not big. So they go up against a team with an elite big, Kyle Filipowski. I think they're going to have a problem. And they go up against a team doesn't turn it over, and Duke does not turn it over. Then I think they're going to have problems getting into their own offense. And I think the injuries that they've suffered are a big deal. Like Juwan Roberts going out in the semifinal of the Big 12 tournament, not being a factor in the championship game. That looks like a big deal. They're already without JoJo Tugler and Terrence Arsenault. They're playing a backup big man right now who's a freshman that Kelvin Sampson says, we should be redshirting this kid. He should not be playing right now. And he's 6'9". So I have concerns about Houston. Iowa State I have going out to Illinois in the East. That, to me, like the Sweet 16 I have in the East, A, is chalk, and B, is good enough to be a Final Four. The East is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy.
More about that a little bit later on. Kansas right now, I'm waffling, but Baylor I have out early. I don't.
Who do you have Baylor out to?
New Mexico.
Okay. Not at the pit, though.
No.
They are a much different team when they're not at the pit.
This is true, but they're also a top 30 team in the Ken Pom.
That's true.
And they guard, and Baylor doesn't.
That's also true.
Teams with Baylor's profile don't do a ton of damage in the tournament, I don't think. I don't think it's going to be a very good tournament for the Big 12 Conference. I think the game opens up a little bit when you get to this time of year, and there's not going to be as many half-court grinder games. And I don't think Houston or Iowa State are built to thrive in this tournament environment.
You know who I kind of like from the Big 12 is sort of not because I think they're going to do something that no one has ever seen before. I have BYU beating Illinois in the second round. First of all, Illinois versus an underrated higher seed like Loyola Chicago 3 years ago, or like Houston 2 years ago, or like pretty much Illinois ever since 2005. Doesn't usually go well for the Illini. And I don't trust Brett Underwood. He's not quite to Rick Barnes territory, but where's his big March win?
That's a good point. They were number 1 seed with Kofi Coburn, and they went out. Loyola got them.
Yeah.
Sweet 16. Yeah.
Kofi Coburn and Ayo Dosunmu.
Yeah. They had no business losing that early, and they did.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. BYU, to me, like, that's a team, again, make or miss. They either make a bunch of threes and they win, or they don't make any threes and they lose.
That I have them winning a couple of games, but it's a coin flip. Are they going to shoot well, or are they going to shoot poorly? I mean, that's the difference right there. We saw that just in the Big 12 tournament.
Any tears for Oklahoma not getting in as a 9th Big 12 team? They were the first team out.
No, I'm not shedding any tears. I don't think they should have even been the first team out, to be completely honest with you. I think there were more teams that were more deserving than them. I think Indiana State was more deserving. I think St. John's was more deserving. I think Seton Hall was more deserving. We will get to the Big East later in the show, by the way. I play better basketball, play better looking basketball, win more games. I don't feel bad.
I do wonder if the committee weighed injuries. They didn't have J.V. McCollum for the Big 12 tournament. They didn't have Rivaldo Suarez, who'd been in and out of the lineup. John Hughley, their backup big, like their most physical big, was out already.
Well, we talked about this with Michael Swain last week when he joined us on the show, when we talked about, Self was really adamant that Dickinson and McCullough will play in the tournament.
Yeah.
And he said, it is significant to note that he came out and was aggressive about that. It was a storyline last year with KU when Self was out with his health problems.
Marquette did the same thing this year with Tyler Kolek, insisting he'll be back for the NCAA tournament. He'll be back for the NCAA tournament. That probably protected Kansas's 4 seed. I'm sure it protected Marquette's 2 seed. And maybe that cost Oklahoma. I don't know. I wasn't listening to Porter Moser's press conferences. I don't know how confident he was or confident he sounded in the return of those injured guys. But without those guys, I saw them play against TCU, and they were not a tournament team without those 3 guys. So
no.
I
don't feel for them at all.
8 teams feels about right. And again, I think what it really goes to show you is K-State was never close. Like, I think if we learned anything from this selection process, and we'll forget this lesson by the time next March rolls around.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say it out loud because, we keep learning this. We keep forgetting it. But this is the lesson that we have to take away from this. If you are outside the bubble when the conference tournament starts, unless you win it, you're not getting in. Yeah. You have to win the conference tournament if you are outside the bubble. The committee said something like they had 35 of the 36 at-larges already picked.
Mm-hmm.
But when the conference tournament started, like quad 1 or otherwise, you cannot do enough to help your resume in the conference tournament unless you go and you win the tournament and you get the auto bid. Like that is the lesson to be learned here. So there was nothing K-State could have done in Kansas City short of win the whole thing that would have gotten them into the NCAA tournament.
For what it's worth, and the net is useless, by the way. I mean, it is a completely useless thing. We have to talk about it because the committee claims that they use it. But, I mean, Indiana State was top 30, number 29 in the net. Oklahoma was 46th. I'm cool with Oklahoma not being in.
Oklahoma was lower than Cincinnati, and we never took Cincinnati's NCAA tournament bid seriously.
Not even once. But Oklahoma was 46th and was off. They were the first team out. You know where K-State finished in the net?
71st.
70. They moved up 1 spot.
Jump 1? Okay.
70. That they weren't next 4 out. They weren't even in let our people call your people. Like that, this was never even a consideration.
Yeah.
We will talk about K-State, however, coming up in just a moment. The Cats did agree to an NIT bid, and they will play tomorrow night. Coming up, we will talk about K-State. We'll talk some women's hoops as well. It's a bracket breakdown, first hour of 580 Sports Talk. We're just getting started on 580 Sports Talk on this post-selection Monday afternoon. Brendan, Dan, Spencer here with you. If you would like to be a part of the show, hit us up on the Top City Metal Supply text line, 785-272-9429. From construction sites to renovations, from the farm to the garage, Top City Metal Supply understands the value of precision and cost efficiency. No more wasted materials, no more wasted money. Metal cut to the exact size you need. Top City Metal Supply, located on South Topeka Boulevard. You can also find us on YouTube. 580 Sports Talk is the name of our YouTube channel and of the show on YouTube today. We'll get to more from the men's NCAA tournament bracket coming up to lead off the 3 o'clock hour. K-State is going to play in the NIT, and they will take on Iowa. K-State unseeded. Iowa got a 3 seed, which I guess technically makes...
I think they got a 4. Weren't they the 4?
No, they're the 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
I read it wrong then.
Which I guess technically makes K-State the 6. I mean, they're not seeded, but technically that's what their seed is. I'm glad K-State is doing this, because if you are Kansas State, you've got a lot of moving pieces for next year. You're relying a lot on, well, specifically David Castillo, who's in your recruiting class next year. Probably going to have to hit the portal, but you've got a lot of young guys who you want. How do college football teams, if you're not playing in the playoff these days, or at least in the New Year's Six, how do most coaches treat bowl games these days?
It's extra practices and
Extra
a chance to get young guys some playing time.
Exactly. Spot on. Why wouldn't you, if you were a team that missed the NCAA tournament, do the same thing with the NIT? And if a guy wants to opt, if, I'm going to give you a random name. This is no information. I'm just picking a random name of a veteran. Arthur Kaluma says, you know what? I don't really want to play. I'm banged up. I'm tired. I don't need this. I don't want to play in this. Fine. More minutes for someone else. This should be the time to showcase RJ Jones and Day Ames and
Taj
Manning, Dorian Finister,
Buddy Rich, get him on the floor.
Those guys should play a ton. However long you are in the NIT, you get a couple extra days of practice, you get extra game time. I am all for K-State playing in this. I'm sure Tyler Perry's probably going to play a bunch after last year. He's Mr. NIT.
He won the NIT MVP last year.
Yeah, fine. Whoever wants to play, keep him out there. But this should be an opportunity for these guys to continue to develop. You've got time to recruit the portal. You've got time to get on the recruiting trail. You can still handle all of those things. I am glad K-State is doing this. I was surprised by how many people, perusing K-State Twitter I saw who were opposed to this. Why? What's the harm?
Well, there isn't any harm. It's, I can only guess what people's motivation is to say this isn't something that K-State should have decided to do, and maybe some of it stems. This is Vance in the YouTube chat saying, isn't the NIT the JV March Madness? Well, basically, yeah. Essentially, that's what it is. It's not a very prestigious tournament, because a bunch of teams did turn down their invites. A bunch of teams that were right on the bubble. Some of those last teams in, those were the teams that were really quick to say, no, we're not going to do this.
St. John's,
Oklahoma, Memphis, very publicly after they lost in the AAC tournament, where they said, no, we're not playing the NIT. And the reason you don't play in the NIT is you don't think you've got a lot of buy-in from your program and your players. They're not going to get after it. They're not going to practice hard. Maybe you got a bunch of veterans. Maybe you got a bunch of guys are going to hit the portal. Maybe you have to hit the portal to go get some players, and you want to start recruiting the portal right here and now. For Kansas State's case, apparently none of that is true. And they do think there's a level of commitment and a level of desire for their players to have a couple of extra days of practice, to get to play at least one more game together. For me, that's a positive sign for the program's culture, that they're in this, that they want to be involved in it, however long that their tournament run lasts. I think it's a positive thing for the program that they're in it. And I do hope we get to see, some different minutes. Like David Gassan's been dragging an injured leg around for the last month of the season. If Buddy Rich gets his minutes, that sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the best way to go about this tournament, is to mix your minutes, almost treat it like you would treat a non-conference game. Your rotation isn't down to 7 guys. You play 10 and see what you can get out of that. And if you make a run, great. If you don't, well, then you don't have to watch a team that wasn't good enough to make the big tournament play any more basketball games. So you've got that going for you.
Are you surprised by how many teams turned it down?
No, I'm not. With the portal opening today, there were 30 guys in the portal before I woke up this morning.
Yeah.
the entire IUPUI roster was in the portal. Like everybody at Incarnate Word was in the portal. Like, and are those names going to be names that really move the needle for your like high major Division I programs? Not necessarily, but I do think that if the portal opens now, there are going to be teams that look at the opening of the portal on Monday who are not in the NCAA tournament as one of two things. It's either going to be the thing that would keep them from having a full roster and being competitive in the NIT, or the thing they need to get started on so they can go make the NCAA tournament next year.
Exactly.
David here on YouTube says WSU used it as a launching pad to start their winning run.
That is absolutely true. They where they win it in? Was it 2011 that they won the NIT, or was it 2012? Was it the year before they went to the Final Four?
I will check for you if you give me 1 second. They won the NIT in... All right, now it's going to take me a moment. Hold on. All right, give me one moment. But yes, they was around that time.
Yeah, because Joe Ragland was point guard, and I covered him in junior college in 2009, so it would have been 10 or 11, yeah.
Yes, they won the NIT in 2011.
2011, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and then the next year, they went to the second round. The year for that, Final Four. There you go. Yeah. And I'm not saying that's going to happen for Kansas State, but
no, it's
why not?
It's how you get those extra couple of days of practice. Maybe you go and you put a couple of wins together and you get some confidence for your young guys going into the offseason. That's the way you have to look at it. Like, you gonna be super excited about an NIT Sweet 16 appearance? No, of course not. It doesn't mean the same. It won't resonate the same. If you'll win the whole thing, it's not going to feel as good as going to the Elite Eight in the big tournament last year, but it could still be a productive thing for your program. And we have both sides of the ledger here from our Top City Mail Supply text line. We have one texter from the 402 says the expectation every year is to make the tournament. So why should we play in the NIT? Well, when you miss the tournament,
you didn't make those expectations.
Yes, when you miss the tournament 4 out of 5 years, maybe this is a stepping stone so that you can start to meet those expectations. Another one from the 785, any fan who says their team shouldn't play in the NIT should keep their mouths shut. It's not up to them. It's up to the team. Well, I mean, I would imagine that this was not a Jerome Tang dictatorship decision. I would imagine this took buy-in from the entire program to say, we'll go play in this.
I would hope so for guys who are young, who didn't get to play a whole lot. Like, if you're Taj Manning, this probably would feel great to be able to get out there and actually play a little bit more. And, I understand that the expectation is you make the tournament. That should be your program expectation. I don't deny that. But, like, here's the reality. You didn't make it. Like, you were not good enough to make the NCAA tournament this year. So should you, wallow and say, well, this year it's over. It's done. Sorry, seniors, never playing again. Freshmen, sorry, have fun in the open gym. Or we get a couple more days of practice time. You get a couple more days with this group together. We get hopefully multiple games left for these young guys to get some game speed experience in a tough environment on the road. I think that's valuable. And I personally, my fandom, I would want to see my team play a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel.
I see it. I see it as a win-win. I really do.
Coming up, it's not just the men who are playing in the postseason for KU and K-State. The KU and K-State women are both going dancing in the NCAA tournament. We'll tell you where they're headed coming up next on 580 Sports Talk. forget that tomorrow's edition of 580 Sports Talk will emanate live from Prairie Band Sportsbook at the Prairie Band Casino and Resort in Mayetta, 20 minutes north of the capital city, up 75 Highway and 150th Road. We'll be there for the full show. Come on by, say hi to us, make some bets. You can bet on the various national tournaments, men's, women's. There are college basketball games tomorrow night. And the first 25 people during the show, it's got to be 2 to 6, who come in and as part of the Parlay Your Way promotion, give the code at the counter, Parlay Your Way, you get a $10 free bet. So come join us at Prairie Band Sportsbook tomorrow for 580 Sports Talk for the full show. We'll get to more of the men's tournament coming up to lead off the 3 o'clock hour. I did want to give some shine to the KU and K-State women, though, both of whom made it to the big dance on the women's side. K-State is a top 4 seed. They get to host. That is awesome. And I hope if you're a K-State fan and you're in the area or have the ability to get out there, go support the Midi Cats. It is going to be a blast at Bramlage Coliseum coming up this weekend. The K-State women play at 3:30 on Friday. We're going to have that game for you, by the way, right here on 580 WIBW and the K-State Sports Network. So cool for them to get to host, and it's going to be a raucous crowd. We know K-State fans can bring it, and I hope they fill the place up. It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a bit of a bummer that it's 3:30 on a Friday. I don't know how that gets scheduled at 3:30, and then the other game, Colorado Drake, gets the 6 o'clock time window.
Yeah, it's weird.
That seems backwards to me. I'm not sure why the NCAA did it that way, but I know that that Wildcat fans will turn out and see this team who have built up a lot of support, a lot of goodwill with their play this year, and it's a really fun pod. It is a murderous regional. Albany 2, it is as it is known. Region 2 is hellacious. This is a monster regional. There could be a Sweet 16 that is as good as a Final Four, because you've got Iowa as the number 1 seed with Caitlin Clark, the greatest scorer in the history of women's college basketball. You have a K-State Colorado potential matchup. 2 teams that have been ranked in the top 3 in the AP poll at various times this season. You've got LSU as the 3 seed, the defending champs. UCLA is a monster 2 seed. Great team out of the Pac-12. Like, whoever comes out of Albany 2 is going to have earned their way into the Final Four. So very cool that K-State gets that opportunity to host. I
like K-State's, and is it going to be easy? Certainly not. But I like K-State's road to a possible Elite 8 here. You should beat Portland. You should beat the 13 seed. I think Colorado is beatable as the 5.
Not only would I say that Colorado is beatable, they might lose to Drake. Like, Drake is awesome.
And they're red hot, too.
Yes, back-to-back Missouri Valley Conference champions. That's a really, really good Drake team. I think ESPN's resident women's bracketologist, Charlie Cream, actually has Drake beating Colorado in his bracket. So that's going to be a tough second-round game, provided K-State gets past Portland, which I think they will. But then, you get Iowa potentially in the Sweet 16, and you've already beaten Iowa once.
You've beaten Iowa each of the last 2 years, have they not?
2-1 against the Caitlin Clark Hawkeyes.
K-State matches up with Iowa better than almost any other team in the country and has proven it.
Yeah.
2 of the last 3 times they've played. That game would be must-see TV, and I hope we get it. I really hope we do.
Yeah, and I'd love to see K-State win that, get a crack in the Elite 8 against maybe the defending national champs in Angel Reese at LSU, or maybe UCLA with your second favorite Grandview High School, Aurora, Colorado alumnus, Lauren Betts. I'm the first. I'm just assuming you guys,
of course,
wanted to go ahead.
You said Colorado, and I assumed it was you.
Wanted to go ahead and shout out my fellow Wolf, Lauren Betts. She's got a sister going to join her next year, 2-time Colorado Player of the Year.
Dang.
Yeah. Shout out Grandview. We're doing big things in women's basketball. But no, in all seriousness, this offers a great opportunity for Kansas State to get some national attention and really put a run together and get deep in the NCAA tournament. It's an awesome, awesome opportunity.
KU women not hosting, but they did make the dance. They are the 8 seed in Portland 3. So the regional weekends are all in Albany or Portland. KU plays Michigan in the opening round. Southern California, USC, they are the 1 seed in the region. That's who KU would possibly face in the second round. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't know a thing about Michigan women's basketball. I don't. 8 versus 9, figure it's a toss-up. Glad KU got the higher seed. KU's playing really well. Really, really well over the last month.
They're better than their record. Like,
yes, agreed.
You look at that 19-12 record, I think KU is better than their record. They started really slow, but played as well as anybody in the Big 12 down the stretch. And I think they've got a great opportunity to beat Michigan in that game and get a crack at the outstanding freshman Juju Watkins in USC as the number 1 seed. Now, it's always fraught for the lower seed in these pods, because unlike in the men's tournament where they pick the regionals, the 8 pod sites beforehand, top seed host in the women's tournament. And so that means Kansas has to beat USC at USC. Not an easy thing to do, win a true road game for a chance to go to the Sweet 16.
No, but honestly, I'm kind of excited about KU's defense and Juju Watkins, who's awesome, by the way, for USC. KU can really defend.
Juju can score it, but Juju also shoots the ball a lot.
A lot.
She'll get her 35 on like 29 shots. It's like prime Allen Iverson.
So if KU wins their first game, I expect KU will probably lose to USC. But KU can defend. They can get kind of nasty on the defensive end. I would be very excited, very intrigued by them going up against one of the best young players in college basketball. So awesome for K-State that they get to host. I'm really happy for KU that Brandon Schneider's group made it in.
I have to point out one more thing about the potential of a Sweet 16 matchup, the 580 Sports Talk Bowl. If we get some upsets, 8 seed Kansas could play 13 seed Marshall in the Sweet 16.
Go. Hawks.
Marshall.
We'll have some fun with that.
Let's
hope that happens.
I'm rooting for it.
And
I'm
we'll have some
pulling
fun with
hard.
it. Yeah. We'll have some fun with it. Coming up in the 3 o'clock hour, we've got more brackets to break down from the men's national tournament. We've also got the good, the bad, and the ugly, and Matt Verderame will join us coming up after the news on 580 Sports Talk. Hey now, 3 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk, just getting underway. I'm Brendan Dworzinski. That's Dan Lucero. That's Spencer Dupuis. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today on this day after the selection show. I know they use it over the course of the year on both CBS and CBS Sportsnet, but how good does it feel to hear da-da-da-da-da-da-da?
So good.
Oh, it's the absolute best.
So
good.
it was incredible sports day. Like leading up to the show, you had a great finish in a national TV NBA game, though I personally did not appreciate the finish itself. It was a great finish to a great game between a couple of Western Conference contenders, Dallas and Denver, with Patrick Mahomes in the front row. You also had riveting drama at the Players' Championship, if you're into golf, about which more in the good, the bad, the ugly. And then you had the end of the Big Ten championship game rolling right into the selection show. I told my wife, I said, my heart is racing. And my wife said, you need to watch less sports. And I said, yes, but not today. I don't.
I will. That's a problem for future me.
Yes. Future me. Yeah. We'll figure that out later on. But
man.
No, it's great to have Selection Sunday. It's one of the best days. There's nothing like the bracket reveal. And very, very excited for the tournament to come, as always.
Yep. So we'll talk more tournament bracket stuff here in just a moment. Got mine not quite filled out, and I'll tell you why here in just a moment. Do you print? I know you do. Do you print one out and fill it out?
Yes, I usually. So
People
when I've
can't
worked,
see that's a bracket, just so people know
when
I'm
I've
holding
worked
at the
on
camera.
shows and stuff, we print out and then we literally watch the games during work. And then like, well, your bracket's busted.
Should have a sounder for that. Oh, sorry. Let's see here. New Mexico wins. Spencer out.
Your bracket's busted.
We should do that. Just way overdo it. Love irony posting verbally.
But yeah, I'm right with you. I do not have a full bracket filled out currently.
Yeah.
So mine's filled out, but I reserve the right to take whiteout to it.
Yes, no, that is correct. That is correct. By the way, hit us up on the Top City Metal Supply text line, 785-272-9429. That is the Top City Metal Supply text line number. No more wasting money on metal pieces that leave you with unnecessary leftovers, you two. Top City Metal Supply will cut the exact lengths of aluminum, steel, and stainless steel that you need tailored to your project specifications. So start optimizing your budget with Top City Metal Supply on South Topeka Boulevard, just north of Forbes Field here in the capital city. You can also go find us on YouTube. 580 Sports Talk is the name of our YouTube channel. We would love for you to go and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Again, that's 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. We'll get to Matt Verderame a little bit later on this hour. We will also get to the good, the bad, and the ugly coming up in just a little bit as well. Quick interruption as well. A question from Vance on YouTube. Vance, I am so thankful that you asked this question. Will Sports Talk have a bracket challenge? Well, lo and behold, if you head over to our website, 580wibw.com, you will see it is the number one post right in the middle of the website. The Lewis Toyota Bracket Mania Challenge. All you have to do, click on that, and it will take you to the landing page for our bracket challenge this year. Scroll down. You just have to sign in with an email address, and then you pick the bracket. We will all be participating as well. And they've got the rules to the contest right on the front page with a chance to win a new car from Lewis Toyota here in Topeka. That's right. You got to get 60 right. Something that is very difficult to do. I'm not going to give you the math right here, but a perfect bracket wins you $1 million. 60 right wins you a new ride from Lewis Toyota. Oh, head over to our website, 580wibw.com. At the very least, enter, take part in it. It is free to play. All you need to do is give us an email address and a password. You can participate in the competition. All of the stations in our cluster here on 580, Country 106.9, the big 94.5 Country, 98.5 Jack FM as well. All of the station websites you are entered in our bracket competition. Compete against us. You can check the leaderboard every day. We will have brackets that are up. You can find out if you are better at brackets than Spencer Dupuis.
Which probably everyone will be.
You can find
Notoriously not great. The percentage-wise at the end, it looks good. But the actual teams winning and going,
not so great.
Not so great.
You can find out how you stack up against Dan Lucero. And we already know that you won't do as well as I will, but you can try anyway.
I will say, I wish this could be a stipulation in it. So obviously, if we win, we don't win a car.
No, we don't. We don't.
No,
win the
we
prize.
cannot win.
But
the
if
car.
we won, we should make a drawing for the rest of the people and be like, one random person will get a car
We can give it away.
or give it away or something. I don't know. Like if somebody wins it, we should be like, if one of us wins it, we should be able to do something to where somebody else should have a chance to get it.
I wish we could. I certainly wish we could.
Fortunately, that's not how contests work.
Remember when Warren Buffett was out there offering $1 billion to anybody who had a perfect bracket?
Yeah, I'm still waiting on mine.
So I 1 year I went 8-0 in the first 2 windows of the tournament on Thursday, and I really wish I'd had like Warren Buffett's contact info because I feel like I could have hit him for something. Start 8-0, like, hey,
what's my cash out?
Yes,
payout?
exactly. Cash me out.
I know you got cash laying around, Warren.
Like
Hit me up.
25. I'll exit out right now for $25.
So we would love for you to go be a part of Lewis Toyota Bracket Mania over at 580wibw.com. This is a banner week for ad reads. Just an incredible promo read week here on 580 Sports Talk. All right, let's get to our...
Did you tell everybody when it needs to be done by, though?
Yes, it's got to be done by Thursday.
Yeah.
Thursday morning,
Yes,
11:15 is the opening tip. Get it done by 11. I'll tell you that. Just get it done by 11.
Yes, you do not have to pick the first 4 games. You can even wait until they are all done before you fill it out, so you have the maximum amount of information. Or you can be confident like us and say, look, Colorado's going to beat Boise State, and then they're going to beat Florida.
Bad take because Boise State is going to beat Colorado and then is going to beat Florida.
Incorrect. Is Boise State any good in the low
Yes!
post?
Yes. Well, in the low post, maybe not. They're good.
That's all I need to know. Like, the team that beats Colorado is the team that makes them play Eddie Lampkin 25, 30 minutes.
I'll give you a tidbit from Spencer's probably not winning bracket, but if you're going to bet on somebody to be the Cinderella this year, it's got to be the 12th seed, James Madison University.
I've got them beating Wisconsin. Apologies to Evan, my
I've got
best
them
friend
in
and
the
my
Elite
best
Eight.
man who went to Wisconsin.
You have James Madison in the Elite Eight, Spencer, did I hear? Did you
Yeah,
say-
because
you
I
said-
have Houston winning and getting to the Sweet 16. I have them beating Houston.
Wow.
All right.
Sunbelt bias
Bold.
over here.
Bold. Spicy.
Virginia bias.
Virginia-
Virginia boy.
Did you pick Virginia to win their game?
No.
I wouldn't either.
Virginia
certainly wouldn't
is
either.
just not great this year.
No, they stink. I'm miserable that they're even in the tournament. All right, why don't we just start there before we get to these actual games? Do you feel like they got it right
They never do.
I was going to
How-
say, do they really?
relative to other years? Do you feel like the committee got it right?
I mean, they put in brand names at the expense of like mid-majors we would have been. Like, who wants to see Michigan State in this tournament?
Not me.
I know the predictive metrics are good. They were 19-14. That's the same record as Kansas State. And then the guy doing all the interviews for the committee chair
Oh God, this
says,
guy's the worst.
well, it was quad 1 wins for Michigan State. It had 3 quad 1 wins. You know who had 5 quad 1 wins? Kansas State. Like, honest to God, if you were putting Michigan State in the tournament, like if you did a blind resume test, Kansas State has a better resume than Michigan State. In a better league, same record, more quad 1 wins.
and
honest
admittedly,
to God.
I don't think K-State should have been close.
No, I don't either. I'm totally fine with K-State not making this field, but Michigan State making the field instead is wild to me. Virginia is miserable.
Disgusting.
Miserable basketball team.
Yep.
Like, sending them to Dayton is cruel to the people of Dayton. Haven't they suffered enough? Like, it's not right to
No, it's not.
foist Virginia basketball upon them.
But meanwhile, like Colorado State should not be in a play-in game.
No.
They are way too good to be in a play-in game.
No.
We have 10 seeds in play-ins this year. That's crazy.
That's the other thing. Like, I'm always excited about the tournament, and it always delivers, and they're going to be great games. They're going to be upsets. It's going to be all the things we love about the tournament, regardless of what the field looks like. This is not a good field. Like, this is a field to me that feels very weak. A lot of your top seeds feel very vulnerable in the sense that, well, let's just say these are not the most accomplished tournament programs.
No.
In history, and not the most accomplished tournament coaches in history that are piloting some of the top seeds in this tournament. So maybe that excites you. Maybe that throws it open for chaos. But like, you got a lot of teams like the 11s, the 12s, You get down to like the 14s and the 15s. We had so many number one seeds lose the mid-major and small conference tournament games that the lower end of the field is not as strong as in recent years. So I think there's less chance for a St. Peter's, even though literally St. Peter's is in the tournament. And they're playing against Rick Barnes round one, so don't rule them out. But like less of a chance for a St. Peter's or an Oral Roberts,
Chicago,
a team like that to maybe capture the imagination of the first weekend of the tournament. So it's not the best field that's ever been in one of these things, and it remains confounding as ever. But this is what Greg Sankey wants, right? This is what the SEC commissioner wants. He wants mid Power 6 teams all over this thing. And you got a little bit of that this year.
He is an enemy of the people.
NC State, Oregon.
At least NC State earned it in.
Well, yes, and Oregon did too. But like that's how mid Power 6 teams used to get in the tournament. Not because...
And that should be the only way they get in.
Greg Sankey thinks that all 14 SEC teams should be in every year.
Sucks.
Why isn't Vanderbilt in, Greg Sankey?
Win more games. Just bothers me. Just bothers the hell out of me.
Yeah.
As for who did get in, the good stuff, one of the few good things we have left in America, like undeniably, it is not a political thing. This is not some people like it, some people don't. This is, unless you're Greg Sankey, one of the few pure, beautiful things we have left in our society today that no one can argue over. Which region is the toughest of the regions?
The East.
What's the death region?
It's the East.
Yeah, it is. But you know what? I'm filling out this bracket, and I said I didn't have it completed. You can't see it on camera here. I have my Final Four. I don't have a championship game picked yet, let alone a winner yet. Like, I don't know how to pick this.
I have half of my Final Four. I have the East and the West, and I'm still trying to figure out the South, and I'm trying to figure out what the heck I'm going to decide for. I have Purdue and Kansas in the Sweet 16.
KU. Hawks. Give me the Hawks.
Hawks. I'm leaning that way, but then I'm like,
Hawks.
They haven't done it this year.
Back to the question at hand.
But yes, like this to me is the chalkiest region.
Yes, I have chalk out of the first weekend to the Sweet 16. The top 4 seeds: UConn, Iowa State, Illinois, Auburn. In order, those are teams number 1, number 5, number 10, and number 4 in the Ken Palm. Those are 4 top 10 teams by the metrics in the country, and that is a Sweet 16 in one region.
That's crazy.
What? And you gave the defending champs and the number 1 overall seed that? You gave them Auburn in the Sweet 16? What?
Yeah.
You gave them FAU, who went to the final. 3/4 of the Final Four are in that pod, potentially. 3/4 of last year's Final Four, because you got the 8 seed Florida Atlantic and the 5 seed San Diego State.
And honestly, and this isn't as much like metrics based. This is more vibe, feel, eye test based. Florida Atlantic plays Northwestern in the first round. I think FAU is going to win that game.
I do too.
If there is one player in this tournament who has offensive ability, who's got the character you want out of a March hero, who's got veteran experience because he's about 30 years old, who I would say, give me one guy who you think could will his way to a couple upset wins, I'd probably pick Boo Buie before I'd pick anyone else.
Got the name too.
Oh, yeah.
America is ready to fall in love with Boo Buie.
That is a nightmare region for UConn. It really, and I still have them coming out of it.
I have them winning the whole thing. I think they're the best team. I think they're the most complete team. Obviously, they did it last year, so I trust their coach the most of any of the high seeds. I put UConn on the champ line, and I went from there. Like that to me, when they filled out the bracket, it did not matter to me what the bracket shook out as. Mm-hmm. I was picking UConn to win the whole thing. But man, they are going to have to earn their way out of that East region. The good news for them, it's in Boston. Those are home games.
Yeah, that's true. They're going to have an incredible crowd there. So UConn, do you have UConn making it to the Final Four?
Yes, they are. I have that left side of the bracket, East and West. I have 1-1.
Okay, so you've got UConn and UNC.
Yeah.
That was going to be my follow-up. Of the other 1 seeds, are we all in agreement Purdue has your least amount of confidence of the ones?
Yes.
Well, not you. You had them in the Elite 8.
I have them out,
or in the Sweet 16.
I have them losing to TCU first weekend. I said that already, but yeah,
I do too.
I have them out early.
See, I have it Purdue, Utah State, and I have Purdue winning.
Well, if it's Purdue, Utah State, I bet Utah State wins, but I don't want to pick Purdue any further than I have to, and I think that if they play TCU, they will lose.
Who do you have more confidence in as the other 1 seeds, Houston or UNC?
UNC. I have UNC in the Final Four.
Is it the injuries?
For Houston, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're not real big.
No, they're not.
And I think that lack of post depth is going to hurt them when they run into a team like Wisconsin is not a good matchup for them. Nebraska is not a good matchup for them because they got Rink Mast, who's 7 feet tall and shoots threes. Like there are a lot
also
of
Casey Tominaga.
Yes, there are lots of potential pitfalls for Houston before a Final Four, and that's too bad because I think a fully healthy version of Houston, I would have loved to have seen that against UConn. But unfortunately, Terrence Arsenault got hurt in November, and JoJo Tugler got hurt 3 weeks ago, and Juwan Roberts is limping into the tournament, and that I just don't know that Houston can survive that.
No, that's going to be extremely difficult. All right, so other than the ones, give me a high, maybe like a top 4 seed that you would put on upset alert right away. And don't give me Kansas because we've already talked about KU.
Early upset alert for...
You said through 5, 1 through 5, or
1 through 4.
1
through 4. Well, Marquette without Tyler Kolek is a very ordinary team. So I don't think they'll have any problem with Western Kentucky, but could I see Colorado or Florida or Boise State giving them some grief in a second round matchup? If Kolek is not 100%, I could. Baylor, we know, doesn't guard. Colgate runs great stuff. They don't have nearly the dudes that Baylor does, and that's probably the difference there. Also, Arizona lost to Princeton last year, and they are against the
and they added
wild
Caleb
card.
Love.
Yes, they are. They also have run into a ultimate wild card in Long Beach State, who fired their coach a week ago today and made the tournament anyway with Dan Hansen running the show.
I will say I have that as an upset. I do have Long Beach State beating Arizona.
I got no problem with that one. I don't trust Arizona. Again,
the storylines, everything. It's like you let your coach go, and now you're making the NCAA tournament. And there's always, I feel like, that one team in Arizona just seems to be that one team that is going to, break people's hearts in the first round. And it just seems like the storybook ending for the first round would be Long Beach State beating them.
Tommy Lloyd has not been there long enough to be fully in the fraud file, but we're on fraud watch with Tommy Lloyd. We are fully on fraud watch.
Yes,
I think
they lost to Princeton. I'm sorry, all those NBA guys on that Arizona team last year, and they lost to a bunch of future state congressmen, state representatives. Yeah. No, get out of my face.
Top 4 seeds. I've only got, I think, 2 losing in the opening round. I think, if I'm reading my bracket correct. I hate my bracket. I hate this. It looks disgusting. I don't like any of these picks. I have 2 top 4 seeds losing, though they're both 4s. I've got Charleston beating Alabama. I think there's a real chance for that one. What happens if Alabama is good, and the metrics love them because they shoot a ton of threes. They also just refuse to play defense. Ironically, Alabama is not interested in defense.
Yes.
They have no desire to do that. And America East supremacy. I got Vermont over Duke.
Wow.
It's going to happen. It is finally going to happen. They are finally going to win another tournament game.
Okay. I will beg to differ. Vance asked about the 5-12s. You said top 4 seeds, but
give me some 5s and 12s. That's always a popular
everybody goes upset hunting. We've already heard Spencer's all over JMU.
I am too. I've got them beating Wisconsin.
I have Grand Canyon beating St. Mary's. Tyon Grant Foster. Kansas City Schlegel, former Jayhawk.
Tyon got a shout out on the bracket reveal show. That was awesome.
He's having a great year.
He almost died.
Yeah, it's amazing he's playing at all.
It is. I'm so happy for him.
Super cool story. That's my only 12 over 5, though. I think McNeese and James Madison will both give Gonzaga and Wisconsin respectively some hell in the first round.
My point of contention with you taking Grand Canyon over St. Mary's is I have St. Mary's playing UConn for a trip to the national championship game.
You have St. Mary's in the Final Four?
I do, which is probably not smart because they don't play offense. And if Aiden Mahaney struggles, they might only score 35 points in a tournament game. But I like the St. Mary's team. I like the way they're playing. I think what they showed against Gonzaga in the championship of the WCC tournament is who they are. I think that is their true version of themselves. I think they can beat pretty much anyone. So I have them going all the way to the Final Four this year. Other upsets I've got, New Mexico. This is another problem here. This is where the committee so screwed up. New Mexico is an 11 seed. They are favored by every advanced metric and by the betting markets to beat Clemson, which is a 6. And granted, Dan, I hate to say this about a fellow alumnus of yours of DePaul University. I think Clemson fans would like personally drive Brad Brownell to any job that would take him.
They would.
Like if any team in the country said we would like to hire Brad Brownell, they might have like a fan bus, a pep bus, drive Brad Brownell to his new job.
New Mexico has a better Ken Pom ranking than 3 of the 4 number 6 seeds in the tournament.
That's crazy. Yeah. They're good.
Yeah.
They're legitimately good.
They're 23rd in Ken Pom. KU's 22nd.
Yeah.
They're awesome. And if they hadn't won the Mountain West, they wouldn't have gotten in the tournament.
Which is outrageous.
If they had not won the conference tournament, they would not have been in this tournament. I have New Mexico in the Elite 8.
Absolutely outrageous.
I have them beating Baylor and Arizona in back-to-back games. I think they're going to the Elite 8. They got great guards. They've got the kinds of bigs, too, that can hang with Yves Missy and can make Omar Ballo's life difficult when they play Arizona. Mm-hmm. I really like how New Mexico matches up with that half of the bracket. I have them going to the Elite 8.
All right, real quick, give me your Final Four.
It's not done yet. UConn, UNC, Kentucky, and I'm between Kansas and Creighton.
All right, Hawks.
I mean, you're going to say that.
Of course.
I have UConn.
Welcome to March.
I have UConn, Carolina, Creighton, and Duke.
I am going with UConn, St. Mary's, Houston, Creighton.
Do you have Houston making it that far?
I do. I do have Houston making it that far.
Wow.
I think this tournament is disgusting. I do. There is not a single pick on this entire thing outside of New Mexico over Clemson where I'm like, yes, I actually feel good writing this out.
Like
I hate this whole bracket.
I'm really picking a Creighton team that I think has like dramatically worse guard play than they did last year. I'm picking them to go to the national championship game. What is wrong with me?
Yeah, I don't have it filled out yet. I'm thinking Big East versus Big East national title.
Yeah,
game.
I got UConn Creighton in the final.
Yeah, I might end up with the same thing.
If we are all leaning the same way, I'm gonna have to question
make some adjustments.
I'm gonna have to make some adjustments.
UConn's gonna get bounced second round, something nonsense like that. Matt Verderame's gonna join us for some NFL talk later on this hour. First, though, we've got the good, the bad, and the ugly next on 580 Sports Talk. quick good, bad, and ugly from the weekend here on 580 Sports Talk before we get to Matt Verderame. Real quick, my good, shout out to Washburn Baseball. Took on the number 3 team in the country, Central Missouri, this weekend. Only got one, but what a one it was. One other one-score game in the series. Came from behind, 4-run final inning to pick up the win yesterday. What a thriller. Cash J with a big home run late in the game. A couple of really impressive performances. I believe it was Peyton McCarg who had home runs in every game of the series, or at least got on base every game of the series as well. Really impressive run. That's a good Washburn team this year, and they can mash. Those are the 2 teams that are first and second in the whole country in home runs per game. They can crush the baseball. So big win for the Washburn Ichabod's baseball team yesterday. Shout out to them.
For my good, KC, baby. Kansas City Current opened their new stadium with a sellout at CPKC Stadium on Saturday afternoon with a thrilling 9-goal thriller, 5-4 victory over the Portland Thorns in the first game of the NWSL season. It was a really fun match to watch if you were like a casual fan, or you're trying to get more into soccer. You want to check out what the NWSL is all about. National TV game. The Mahomes is in attendance. 11-5, packing the new stadium. And it was a great game. It was fabulous. The quality of the goals was outstanding. The current roster really showed out. Played, I thought, really, really good. They were up 5-1 and then had to hold on kind of at the end. So maybe the defending could use a little work in front of Salina native goalkeeper A.D. Franch. But no, great start to the season. And the NWSL could not have asked for a better start or a better advertisement for their league than that on national TV on a Saturday afternoon.
You're good?
The Capitals have crawled their way out of the lower portion of the Metropolitan Division, and they're 1 point out of the wild card spot as they keep doing pretty good. They're facing some tough teams lately, but they're getting a lot of help, and they're 1 point out of the wild card, and they're 3 points out of third place in the Eastern Conference. Also, Ovechkin is back to his goal-scoring ways. He's now at 841, so he's 53 from tying Wayne Gretzky, 54 from beating Wayne Gretzky's record, which is doable if he can score a few more. He averaged about 20. If he can score 4 more this year, he can average 25 a season, or less than that, actually.
And he'll get there.
Yeah, 25 a season for the next 2 seasons.
My bad, real quick. It's more sad. No Greg Gumbel. We knew he wasn't going to be there. It's just not the same. No offense to Adam Zucker, but it's not the same without Greg Gumbel on the selection show.
My bad. How did that putt from Wyndham Clark not go in on the 18th green on Sunday at the Players' Championship? You talk about the iron unkind. That was one of the all-time cruel lip-outs in golf history. Would have given us a playoff between Clark and Scotty Scheffler. I wanted to see a playoff because I wanted to see more golf, because that tournament ruled. Scotty Scheffler, number 1 player in the world, shoots a 64 on Sunday to chase down the reigning Olympic gold medalist, Xander Schauffele, and hold off the 2 most recent major champions, Brian Harman and Wyndham Clark. That tournament ruled. If you didn't like that, you don't like golf very much.
Mine, not sports related, but opened my refrigerator on Saturday morning. I was going to the grocery store anyway. It's been a busy last few weeks. Found some chunky milk.
Ew.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah. That
would have been my ugly. Oh.
Yeah.
I don't have an ugly. It was a really good weekend.
My ugly was the Big 12 tournament. Just bad game after bad game, like not compelling basketball, and makes me really nervous about how these teams are going to fare in the NCAA tournament.
My ugly is looking at the bracket and remembering this broadcast deal that March Madness has, where we're going to have to watch all the Final Four on TBS, not CBS. What in the world is going on?
Yeah, it is weird that they do that. I guess if Turner's got the money, that's what happens. But yeah. KU, let's not forget, most watched cable basketball game of all time when they played North Carolina and won the national championship. Matt Verderame joins us next here on 580 Sports Talk. Joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline is the one and only Matt Verderame. He covers the National Football League for Sports Illustrated and SI.com and is also the host of the Chiefs-centric NFL podcast, The Matt Verderame Show, which you can find on Matt's Patreon feed. Follow him on Twitter as well, at Matt Verderame. Matt, we were just talking NCAA Tournament, of course, the selection show yesterday. Have you filled out your bracket yet, and do you have a pick for the national champion this year?
Well, I'm a St. John's fan, so I'm not thrilled at the committee, although, honest to God, they probably got it right. St. John's stunk all year long. But in any event, I'm going to pick UConn. I know it's back-to-back, and that's pretty rare, but they've been great this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when you watch that team, they're just so complete. They're so good. They've got the experience. But it should be an interesting tournament. I mean, Selection Sunday was kind of nuts. It was a weird bubble this year. I filled out the one on like ESPN, but that's kind of the fun one. At some point, my dad and I will have to fill them out and then put a small wager on it.
The other thing about UConn, and we didn't talk about this earlier, Danny Hurley's insane. He's obviously a great coach. He's going to fight a fan at some point, like put hands on someone, and it's going to be must-see TV. Matt, as for the National Football League, wanted to start with this L'Jarius Sneed situation, which has been strange. I think we all assumed, and I know we talked to you about this, the assumption that he was going to be traded while in the franchise tag, get a long-term deal elsewhere. There has been a lot of reporting. Stephen Holder of ESPN's been all over it from the Colts perspective. Some other national reports that nothing is really going on in this regard now with the trade from the Chiefs for L'Jarius Sneed. What are you hearing about this situation with Sneed and the Chiefs?
So I did my own reporting on this on Saturday, and I tweeted out stuff. And I've been doing the reporting work on it now for the last 72 hours. Look, the reality is, L'Jarius Sneed wants too much money. Like, he's not going to get a deal anywhere if he doesn't lower his price. That's what it's at right now. He, to my knowledge, to my understanding, I was told that he wants essentially right now to be the highest paid corner in NFL history at $22+ million a year.
Wow.
And he's not getting $22 million a year. That's just not going to happen. I don't care where it is. Indy, Tennessee. I was told on Saturday that Indianapolis and Tennessee were the teams most interested, that the Lions and the Falcons were extremely interested before free agency, but that they weren't in on that price. And then, I was told this morning that Indy's out, that Indianapolis is no longer involved. Now, of course, listen, things change. They can get back in. But right now, they're out. And so, look, there's a few reasons for all this. One is the money. Sneed's asking price has to come down. Otherwise, he's playing on the tag, because I'll tell you this, if he plays in Kansas City, it's going to be on the tag. It's not going to be on the extension. That's not going to happen. And I think the reason for that is he's 27. He missed a lot of practice time last year because of I think it's fair to say that that's at least a concern. And then on top of that, they draft and develop guys at that position better than any other position on the team. So I think they would play him. In fact, I know they would bring him back on the tag and play out the tag, but he's not getting a long-term deal in KC. If he's going to get it, it's going to be lowering his price and getting it somewhere else.
How big are the red flags with those knee issues?
They're legitimate. Like, he was able to play through the issues last year, and to his credit, played phenomenally. But I think anybody acquiring him, there is a certain level of, okay, is this going to be able to hold up throughout the course of the contract? I think that the medical is enough of an issue that it's going to be discussed by anybody who brings him in. And I think for the Chiefs, while I don't think it's the driving force as to why they wouldn't extend him, I think it is part of the reason that they won't extend.
Matt Verderame is our guest, covers the National Football League for Sports Illustrated, SI.com, joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline, as he does every Monday, to talk National Football League. You can check out Matt on Twitter at Matt Verderame. Matt, Chiefs made a big splash near the weekend with their signing of wide receiver Hollywood Brown to a 1-year deal. What does a successful season for Brown look like in the Chiefs offense?
I think pretty similar to what you got out of Juju in 2022. I mean, it'll look different in the sense of the way they'll come about those yards. But if Hollywood Brown goes out, and maybe even a little less because now they have Rashee Rice. Like if he goes out and it's 800 yards, 900, that's great. That's awesome. I mean, I think it's fair to say he's the third option in the passing game in Kansas City. He's not going to be a guy they need to have 1,000 yards from. If they get that, fantastic. But I think the one thing that this allows them to do, well, two things it allows them to do. One is now they have more freedom in the front end of the draft. They are not beholden to just they've got to draft a receiver. Now they still might. They could still take a receiver at 32, but they don't have to. So that's number one. Number two, I think this allows them during the regular season to give Kelsey a little bit more rest. They last year played Noah Gray a lot more as the year went on. There were a lot of games Gray was seeing more than 50% of the snap counts. So a lot of those snaps were with Kelsey as well. But Gray was seeing more time. I would not be surprised if with Brown and the maturation of Gray and Rashee Rice, and if they go and get a rookie receiver that can play here fairly early on, I wouldn't be surprised if Kelsey sees the snap count decrease this year and the Chiefs just say, look, don't worry about it. Don't worry about Denver in week 15. Like, we need you for about a month at the end of the year when you're going to be playing 80% of the snaps. But I think at this point, they're pretty much set up for the draft. I don't know, other than maybe you want to say left tackle, that there's anything about this team that you look at and go, that's a pressing concern. There may be areas to upgrade, but nothing that is pressing.
You mentioned in your answer, you think that this makes it so that the Chiefs are not committed to having to draft a wide receiver in round one. Do you think they still add, whether it's with a first round pick or whether it's another veteran free agent addition, do you think they add another starting caliber or top three, I guess, wide receiver this offseason?
I think if they do that, I think it's going to be in the draft. I don't know that guy's out there at this juncture in free agency. I don't know who that guy would be. I mean, I guess you could sit there and say Odell Beckham. I'm of the opinion that Odell Beckham at this point is not a guy that is a huge difference maker. He's way more name than production and has been for years. So could you argue that? You want to? Sure. Other than him, I mean, who else is, Tyler Boyd? He's certainly a top three receiver. And you could say, hey, he'd be a great fit for the Chiefs. And okay, that's fine. But yeah, I don't see the Chiefs at this juncture running out to pay anybody. And the other thing is too, they don't have the money. I mean, with Snead sitting on the tag at 19.8, if he doesn't come off of that tag, they can't pay anybody. I mean, they're pretty capped out at this point. So I think what you're going to see are light moves. It's going to be, maybe there's a, hey, let's bring back Mike Dana. Maybe you bring back somebody of that ilk. I just don't see them going out and paying anybody else significant money. A, because I don't think they really can with their cap, and B, I think the roster's pretty set. I think at this point now you're just kind of moving toward the draft and smaller signings and getting ready for OTAs, which sounds nuts, but we're about a month from rookie camp and everything else, month and a half. It gets there sooner than you think.
Shifting gears to some other transactions, the Justin Fields and Bears saga is now complete as the Bears traded Justin Fields to the Steelers over the weekend for basically a bag of peanuts. So Justin Fields...
But it could become a box of graham crackers if he plays enough.
That's true. If he plays 51% of the snaps, it becomes like a thing of Chex Mix. So Justin Fields is now a Steeler. The Bears are going to take Caleb Williams 1-1. Do you like the move for the Steelers? Do you think there's any upside for Justin Fields going somewhere to be a backup behind Russell Wilson?
I mean, look, it's not ideal for Justin Fields, but I'd also make this argument, and I've not seen this anywhere, and it's kind of surprising to me. If you're the Steelers, like, I understand they've said, hey, Russ is our starter. Okay, fine. I believe he is. Let's say the 6 games into the year, you're 4-2, but he stinks. Don't you just play Justin Fields? Like, at that point, don't you just say, hey, you know what? We have Justin Fields, and he's about 12 years younger and there's more upside, like, let's give him a shot. I don't know that it's necessarily like Fields is nailed to the bench here. Like, if Russell Wilson goes out and is not good, I don't know that they have that much invested in him. They're paying him the vet minimum. They gave up nothing to get Russell Wilson. Now, you could also argue, hey, look, that they're not exactly into Fields for 3 first-round picks, and that's fine. But I think in the end, look, Fields was getting dealt. There was no world he was coming back with the Bears. So it is what it is. It's unfortunate for him. You could argue who's to blame for the reason it didn't work out in Chicago, whatever it is. He's now gone. But I actually don't think it's the worst situation in the world for him. Like, you are one real rough stretch of Russell Wilson away from getting called upon. And if you play well, that's a great organization. You didn't get traded to Siberia here. Like, you got traded to a team that knows what it's doing. So, yes, it's disappointing on its face, but I actually think that it could work out because I don't think anybody's looking at Russell Wilson and thinking, oh, he's definitely, no doubt about it, going to be a starter for 7 games.
Matt Verderame's our guest here on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. And Matt, another quarterback trade for a backup. The Commanders ship off Sam Howell to the Seahawks. They get a good pick swap in return, and they've made some good moves so far. What do you think of what their new GM and what they've been able to do here in the first couple weeks of the league, or first week of the league year?
Washington's been very busy. Normally that is something that is regrettable as time goes on. However, I actually like what Washington's done. They haven't gone out and signed any major contracts. Howell's not their guy, so they're going to move off Howell. That's fine. They went out and they made smart signings. Frankie Louvu at linebacker, who a lot of people are probably listening to this and going, who? A really good linebacker for the Panthers the last 3 years. They are getting Dorrance Armstrong in there, who can really play, who's a good defensive end, getting him away from Dallas. Tyler Blados at center, who's a quality center. He's not great, but he's solid. They paid him accordingly. I like what Washington's done. They haven't spent wildly. Now, I think their secondary needs a lot of help. Cameron Curl's gone. Kendall Fuller's gone. They're going to have to address that. Their secondary's not good. And there are obviously other holes here, and that's to be expected with a team that is currently sitting there at second overall pick. But I like the direction it's gone. I'm curious to see how Dan Quinn does in his second go-around. But with new ownership there, a new front office, I think if you're a Commanders fan, it's all about the number 2 pick. Whoever you take, May or Daniels, you better be right. And if you are, you're in really good shape.
Finishing things up with Matt Verderame, who writes about the NFL for Sports Illustrated and SI.com. Make sure you follow him as well on Twitter at Matt Verderame. He joins us every Monday at this time on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. I asked you this last week, Matt, and obviously things changed. That was the first day of quote-unquote legal tampering. We've now had a full wave of free agency since then. Is there a move that stands out to you that's just a what the hell were they thinking kind of acquisition so far?
Yeah, I mean, there's always a couple of those. The one that stands out, and I think I said it on Monday, so I won't dwell on the Robert Hunt $100 million bill is just staggering. I'm sorry, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, I don't care if he plays tackle. Like, I don't care. Like, what? $100 million? Robert Hunt had, honest to God, I would have paid to have seen his reaction when his agent told him that off. Like, was he like, are you serious? I mean, no way. Jonah Jackson is a great player, and he went to the Rams for 3 years and $51 million. He's a guard, for those not aware. Like, leaving Detroit to go to the Rams. And Robert Hunt, who is not Jonah Jackson, got double the money. I mean, that is a staggering contract. But I would also I look at Gabe Davis with Jacksonville, and it's not that the contract's awful. Like 3 and 33, that's not unreasonable. But I look at that and I say, why? Like, what is the point? I know I've had a lot of Jaguars fans tweet at me because of that they say, well, they lost Calvin Ridley. Okay, which, by the way, was another insane contract. But, like, you could just go draft a receiver in a league that is loaded with young talent at receiver coming in every year. You have Christian Kirk. You have ETN. You have Ingram. You have Zay Jones. You have a defense that can't stop anybody. And your answer to that was like, hey, you know what we need? Gabe Davis immediately. I don't get. Like, I feel like sometimes these teams are like a 10-year-old kid that's given $50 and goes into Kmart, and mom and dad are just like, "Go do whatever the hell you want," and then the kid comes back with like 800 pieces of Bubblicious and pencils. And you're like, yeah, you know what? He's 10. What do you expect? But like, that's what general managers do when they hit free agency and they have too much cap space.
I would have come out with multiple replica WWE championship belts. Real quick, Matt, before we're done, are there any players still out there who you are surprised have not signed a deal yet, whether it's 1 year or long term?
Yeah, I mentioned Tyler Boyd. I thought he'd be off the market once we saw the receivers go. But he's a little older, so you can understand it. The one guy is Chase Young from this perspective. I know what I'm going to say sounds nuts, but it's not even my words. It's an agent I spoke to before the free agency. He thought that Young might get something like 5 years and $100 million based on his name, based on the fact he's taken number 2 overall, that he's had a couple of good years. I think Chase Young's lucky if he gets 1 year and $10 million.
Wow.
And that is that's where, you know, free agency's nuts. And that agent, like, he knows what he's done. He's one of the bigger agents in the league. Like, that stuff, I remember years ago when Jadeveon Clowney was hitting free agency for the first time. And at the time, people were projecting him to get a similar type contract. And I had an agent tell me he's lucky if he gets a 1 year deal for $15 million. And I laughed at it. I said, come on, there's no way. He signed for 1 year and $10 million. Sometimes in free agency, if you get left out in the cold, you really get left out in the cold.
Matt Verderame covers the National Football League for Sports Illustrated and SI.com. He also is the host of the Matt Verderame Show podcast. You can find that on his Patreon feed. He joins us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline every Monday at this time to talk all about the NFL. Matt, we appreciate the time. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Take care.
That's Matt Verderame from SI.com and Sports Illustrated. Awesome, awesome stuff, as always, from Matt. Don't forget, tomorrow from 2 to 6, our full edition of 580 Sports Talk will be live from Prairie Band Sportsbook in Mayetta at Prairie Band Casino and Resort. First 25 people who come in to the sportsbook during 580 Sports Talk, go to the counter and just say parlay your way, you get a $10 free bet. First 25 who come visit. So come visit us tomorrow live for 580 Sports Talk from Prairie Band Sportsbook in Mayetta. 4 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talks coming up after the news. now halfway home on 580 Sports Talk on this Monday afternoon. Brendan Dworzinski, Dan Lucero, and Spencer Dupuis all joining you today. Thanks so much for spending some of your afternoon hours with us. Lots of bracket talk today. We'd love to know your thoughts on the NCAA Tournament bracket as well. Send them our way either on the Top City Metal Supply text line, 785-272-9429, or hop into the YouTube comments. 580 Sports Talk is where you can find us on YouTube. Also streaming live on Facebook, WIBW, news on Facebook, and also on the 580 Sports Talk Twitter account. A reminder that from the construction site to renovations, from the farm to the garage, Top City Metal Supply understands the value of precision and cost efficiency. No more wasted materials, no more wasted money, just metal cut to the exact size you need. Top City Metal Supply, located on South Topeka Boulevard, just north of Forbes Field. Also, a reminder, keep telling you because we are jacked up about it. Tomorrow from 2 until 6, we will be live, the whole crew, all three of us from Prairie Band Sportsbook at Prairie Band Casino and Resort in Mayetta. We will be up there to get ready for the men's college basketball national championship tournament. All sorts of promotions going on, including the Parlay Your Way promotion. It is a really, really cool opportunity. Over or up to $1,000 in free bets being given away by Prairie Band as part of this promotion. So if you go in and bet from today through April 6th, all it takes is a parlay bet, 4 legs or more. Has to be odds better than plus 100. Most of the books online, by the way, like your FanDuels, your DraftKings, if they have the parlay promotions, you got to have what, plus 400? Plus 300.
Yeah, something like that.
This only has to be plus 100 or greater at Prairie Band for this promotion. $5 or more. You have to enter it at the time that you place the bet, but you will be entered automatically to win an all-inclusive pair of tickets to Sporting KC versus Inter Miami at Arrowhead Stadium. That's Lionel Messi coming to town, plus a $500 free bet. That is the Parlay Your Way promotion going on right now at Prairie Band Sportsbook. And tomorrow, while we're there from 2 until 6, first 25 people who come to the sportsbook and just mention Parlay Your Way get a $10 free bet. Hard to beat free. Impossible to beat free, in fact. So come join us tomorrow at Prairie Band Sportsbook in Mayetta at the Prairie Band Casino and Resort. Wanted to get to some NFL here. We've got What Is Wrong With You coming up later on this hour and some more thoughts on this year's NCAA tournament bracket as well. Matt Verderame, we bring him on the show because he's great. He does a great job covering the NFL. It was not even 90 seconds after Matt hung up the phone when the news broke on Twitter that Chase Young is signing a 1-year deal for $13 million. He is headed to the New Orleans Saints. We had just asked him. That was the last question we asked. Who are you surprised hasn't signed yet? It ends up being Chase Young. He is still very young. He's only 24 years old. 1-year deal with the Saints. I don't know. Is he good? Like, he's talented, but is he good?
He's young, only 24 years old.
Chase Young, yes.
He's also literally young in age. So I don't know. Maybe you think you get him into a place where he can be properly motivated and you get a little something extra out of him, because I think that's been the question, right? Is just how focused is he? How locked in is he on a snap-to-snap basis? Because we saw some snaps that he took in the playoffs as a 49er where it looked like somebody controlling him on the PlayStation had their controller disconnected. So I don't know what to make of Chase Young. I really don't. Like, I'm not surprised somebody's going to take a flyer on the potential, but haven't seen it yet.
I think when I am analyzing draft prospects going forward, I'm going to really have to recalibrate the the skill level versus the dog in them level. Because guys who just dominate all the way through their college careers because they're just so much bigger and faster, how often does that truly work out? And maybe this is just confirmation bias, but I thought Chase Young was going to be a Hall of Famer. I thought he was going to be
awesome college player,
the number one edge rusher in the NFL when he got to the league.
I mean, he still could be, right?
I mean, he's only 24. Yeah. He could be that guy. Famously on this show, he will be, though. I think Jake made fun of me for this, on his last show in December. Famously, I thought N'Keal Harry was going to be a Pro Bowler. N'Keal Harry is one of the worst players in the NFL. But apparently, just being able to jump higher than everyone when you're 19 years old is not an indicator that you'll be good in the NFL.
Somebody I just saw on Twitter that used to work for, works for Fox and UFC now. He used to work for NFL Network in DC. He said Chase Young is getting about $2 million a sack.
There you go. Hey, that's good money if you can make it, man.
Yeah.
Good money. Good money if you can make it. Some other thoughts from the NFL. This L'Jarius Sneed thing, it is puzzling to me. And I guess not puzzling. It's just interesting to me the way that it has unfolded. That comment from Matt that really stood out, because you've brought up the worry about the knee. I mean, we talked about that going into this year.
Yes, going into the start of the season, it was like,
well,
hey,
shoot, we talked about it in the draft when they took Shamari Connor.
Yeah, like he felt like the Sneed replacement, because how much can you trust Sneed's health? He's barely practicing. He didn't hardly go through training camp. Who needed it? Clearly, L'Jarius Sneed didn't need to waste his proverbial bullets on practicing Tuesday through Friday if he played like that on Sunday.
Yeah, that's a concern. But the fact that he wanted to be the highest paid corner in the league, I don't blame him for wanting that or trying to negotiate that. Why wouldn't you? And he was great this past year. But man, you're 27. You've got the knee issues. Your current team already doesn't want to pay you that. I mean, that's probably got to be hard for another team to say we're the ones who are willing, to do it. I don't know. I feel like he's going to have to take a little bit less than that. I feel like he has to. Then there was a report today as well from a station in Kansas City that no one's even offered a second-round pick to get him. But it sounds like the bigger sticking point is what Sneed is going to get paid here. Kind of a weird situation. I'm still trending more and more toward 50-50 equilibrium here that he ends up playing for the Chiefs next year.
Yeah, on the tag, more than likely.
Because they cleared more space today, or this weekend, too.
Yes, they did.
And I've got the numbers here. So Joe Thuney had $2 million go from base salary to fully guaranteed bonus. That saved some money. And then all of Juwan Taylor's compensation for next season is now fully guaranteed. So they already had it locked in for 24. Now for 2025, that $20 million is fully locked in as well. That saves up plenty of long-term cap space too. Maybe they do just keep him on the tag. And I mean, if you're the Chiefs, this is how you treat running backs normally, right? Is you ease them in a little bit. They have kind of a package when they start. L'Jarius Sneed was mostly just a blitzer when he started as a rookie. Then you use them more. Then at the end of the contract, you run them into the ground. And if you can't move them, you tag them for a year. You run them into the ground again. And then best of luck to you, we'll get a comp pick. This is like a running back situation with L'Jarius Sneed, right down to the bad knee.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if I might flip on this. I might flip over to the Chiefs are going to keep Sneed for another year. I mean, the Chiefs will take it. You don't get multiple picks or a second rounder or whatever, but you'll get a comp pick in 2 years and you get another year of an all-pro caliber corner. I might just keep him at this point. I really thought he would have been moved by now, but the way this is trending, maybe that's not what's going to happen.
Well, what was the other report that we were hearing out of not Kansas City? Like, you know, if you get a report from Kansas City, the sources are probably Kansas City sources.
Yes.
If you get a report from another city, the sources are probably that city's sources. Stephen Holder covers the Indianapolis Colts, and his reporting was the Chiefs are being reasonable with their asking price.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I am left to conclude is that the Chiefs, if they are both being reasonable and not looking for a second round pick in return, which is what is being reported out of Kansas City, they feel like maybe motivated sellers here. They feel like, you know, we would like to move. We see an opportunity here to do the Patriots thing and be rid of a player a year too early instead of a year too late. And I think if you just read between the lines a little bit, that's what I am starting to see, is that the Chiefs would rather trade L'Jarius Sneed than have him play on the tag. But worse comes worse. All right, I guess we'll keep around a guy who was an all-pro caliber player last year. We'll make it work financially. It might cost them the opportunity to like bring back a Mike Dana or somebody like that, but they'll live with that as a consequence. They are, I think, prepared to go either way with this, but I really believe their preference is to make the trade.
I think so too. Well, and here's the other part of this if you're the Chiefs, because while I think you would probably be content keeping him for another year after how well he played this year, you heard it from Matt last segment at the end of the 3:00 hour. It's a very legitimate red flag with his knee.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs are as willing as anyone to pass on that. I mean, they didn't even offer Juju Smith-Schuster with his knee issues. Then they ended up flaring up, and he was terrible for New England this past year. The Chiefs are willing to pass on that.
Who knows the medicals of a player better than the team that has employed him his entire career?
No one.
Like, the Chiefs are going to have the best knowledge of what's really going on structurally with Snead's. And it wasn't just his knee, it was a calf issue as well, which, like, those are sort of linked, like chain link injuries, right? Like, you got a bad knee, the way you might move around on that might affect your other muscles in your leg. The Chiefs will have that intimate knowledge of what they think it's going to look like health-wise for L'Jarius Sneed, and as such, how long he can sustain this level of play or this level of availability, frankly.
I mean, he was on the injury report, most of this last season?
For plenty of it, yeah.
Like, just every week, whether he's getting vet rest days or whatever.
Yeah, maybe the Chiefs do drop the asking price. I mean, it'd be wild to only get a fourth for the guy, but I imagine the Colts or the Falcons or whoever else would be willing to take their risks, take their chances not getting a long-term deal done if you only have to give up a day 3 pick. It's an interesting situation. I'm surprised it has gotten to this point, but again, if the knee is that big of an issue and if he's asking for unreasonable contract demands, I guess it makes more sense. This was the other big news from the weekend. And this is so funny. Justin Fields gets traded. He goes from the Bears to the Steelers. I am not saying this just because I have biased sources. We heard this from people like ESPN reporters and personalities who said, Bears looking for a second-round pick. They might get a first for Justin Fields. Mel Kiper said that. And you can say whatever you want about Mel Kiper's mock drafts. He is at least somewhat tied in, being around for 40 years. He knows agents. He knows front office people. He said on television, millions of people watching, they might get a first-round pick for Justin Fields. They got a 6th rounder, not this year.
Yeah.
They didn't get a 6th rounder this year. They got a 6th rounder in another draft from now that becomes a 4th if he plays more than half the snaps, which I'm going to guess he probably will not.
When I was 13 years old, I went to the neighborhood GameStop with a copy in hand of Nagano Winter Olympics 98 for the original PlayStation. And I got more in return on my trade-in than the Bears did for Justin Fields.
It's really funny. Was it a good game, by the way?
No, the game sucked.
Nah,
They had curling, though. That was kind of dumb.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah, I am, like, when you see a trade happen like this, like, that had to be such a wake-up call for the Justin Fields hive. Like,
It's not!
The league does not value this player the way you, Trent from Evanston, value this player.
I don't know how much you guys have seen of this, being, the teams we cover, not Chicago. You, a Seattle fan. You, a Washington fan. I see a lot of this because I'm from there, know a lot of Bears fans, and my favorite team are their arch rivals. So I have seen tons of this. Now, the response from the Fields cult is, well, at least someone believes in Justin. No, they do not.
Clearly.
They told him up front, you are not going to start. They're probably not picking up his 5th year. I can't imagine they do. It'll guarantee him $18 million or whatever.
How would they do that? That's not happening.
They weren't even willing to give up a pick this year. They mortgaged future day 3 picks to get this guy.
Just to have a backup. A backup
Quarterback. Because their own guy refused to be there.
Yes.
Anymore.
This was, hey, we need a backup with maybe a little bit of upside. Who's on the market that we could get to back up Russell Wilson for a year? Okay, Justin Fields. Let's go ahead and shoot a bag of washed jock straps to Chicago in exchange.
The Fields cult is unbelievable. It's a national thing too. Ben Solak, who I like at The Ringer, wrote a whole column this weekend.
I saw that, yeah.
About how he still thinks that they underpaid for him and that he's a better player. Guys, he is statistically the worst quarterback who has started a majority of his team games teams' games in the last 3 years. No one has turned it over more. No one has been sacked more. No one has a lower passer rating. No one has lower EPA per play numbers as a full-time starter. They won 10 games in 3 years. He is horrible.
There's like the 5% of plays where he does something awesome. You can see it because he is a great athlete.
Oh, he is a one of two athlete. I honestly think he and Lamar Jackson are probably the two best athlete quarterbacks we've had in 20 years.
But
them and Prime Vic.
The problem with being a quarterback who does the spectacular thing 5% of the time is that you have the other 95% of the time. And the other 95% of the time, he's making losing plays. He's making plays that lose you football games. He's making poor throws. He's making wrong reads. It's just, he's not it. And if somebody else, anybody else, basically, as soon as the Bears locked up the number 1 pick, everybody knew there was a liquidation sale to be had. All you had to do was call Ryan Poles and make him an offer.
Dude, I had someone in my Twitter mentions literally last week tell me, well, Ryan Poles doesn't know yet. That's why there's no trade. He doesn't know if he wants Caleb Williams or Justin Fields yet. Are you a day old? Were you literally born yesterday? Like, this dude's got to giggle like crazy every time he hears someone jingle keys. Like, unreal that you would actually watch the NFL and think that.
It's weird how lousy quarterbacks with like one carrying tool will have stands their entire career. You know who has stands? Drew Lock.
Yes, he does.
Drew Lock has stands who cannot believe he's on his 3rd team in 5 or 6 years, whatever it is, because all he needs is a chance. And look, I am eternally grateful to Drew Lock for beating the Eagles at Lumen Field this past season. That ruled.
That was pretty
fun.
Sick. I don't even like Drew Lock. That was pretty sick.
And Drew Lock, through all of this, through his travails as an NFL quarterback, has, I think, revealed himself to be something of a nice fellow. Like,
sure.
Somebody that you don't mind rooting for. But there is a Drew Lock hive who believe he was screwed in Denver, that they should have started him over Teddy Bridgewater, that they should have kept him instead of trading for Russell Wilson, and that he's going to go ahead and start games for the New York Giants. Like, no, the league has told you what they think of this player. Just no ball one time. Pay attention to what the league is telling you about the value of this player. Pay attention to what the league has just told you about the value of Justin Fields. This is what it is. A future 6th, a future conditional 6th for the right to have a guy be a backup for 1 year. Like, that's what you're dealing with.
That is just absolutely yeah, I think it's hilarious, honestly. A couple of other pieces of news, NFL signings today and this weekend. The Bills kept a defensive player that isn't Von Miller, Taron Johnson, who's really good. 3-year deal, $31 million extension with the Bills. He's good. And when he was injured, they were a lot worse defensively this past year. So that's a good signing for them. The Jets added another lineman, Tyron Smith. He goes to New York to protect the future vice president. So that's a smart move for them.
He's out, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh,
once again, so RFK Jr. has chosen a woman named Nicole Shanahan, reportedly to be his vice presidential candidate. And
just another time with Shanahan.
Once again, a Shanahan denies Aaron Rodgers.
I saw Mina Kimes tweet that, and I laughed really hard and thought, this is not nice. Aaron Rodgers deserved this, not me. Not me, Packers fan. Packers owner, thank you. That was extremely funny when those jokes came out, though. So they've got him some protection. Your Seahawks made a move. Jerome Baker, best linebacker who was still available, I think.
So
former Dolphin.
Yeah, they let Jordan Brooks go, and the Dolphins gave Jordan Brooks a multi-year contract, and then the guy who he is going to replace is Jerome Baker, and the Seahawks turned around and gave him a 1-year deal. And I think they're roughly the same player. Like, I might even like Baker better, but that's because I've watched more Brooks and know what he's not good at. Like, Baker's one of the better coverage linebackers in football, and the Seahawks haven't been able to cover anybody for years at the linebacker spot. Ever since Bobby Wagner lost that first half step.
Yeah.
And KJ Wright started losing steps. It's been a few years. So
yeah. Jerome Baker's a good player.
Yeah.
I like his game a lot. And then the one other piece of news here, another wide receiver on the move. KJ Osborne goes to New England on a 1-year deal. I didn't see the dollar amount for this one. I don't know if you guys did. I like KJ Osborne. I think he's a nice player. That's the kind of player I would have said if the Chiefs wanted to add another veteran, take a flyer 1-year guy. I would have been cool with a guy like Osborne. That would have been fine. But he goes to New England.
1 year, $4 million deal.
I definitely would have done that. I definitely would have done that
Yeah,
for
it's not bad at
KJ
all.
Osborne. Also, a report today, and I didn't see who this was from. I'll pull it up, though. The Patriots are not taking calls on the number 3 overall pick, which would tell me they either love Marvin Harrison Jr. or they are content with either May or Daniels.
Yeah, I think they're taking a quarterback, and
They've got to, right?
I think so. I would imagine so. Otherwise, they're going to start the Zat Man.
that's not happening.
No, I can't think
it's
so.
Or Brissett.
They did bring back Jacoby Brissett. I would draft a quarterback.
I don't know. If they have Brissett, who's a decent quarterback, they could go with, a receiver. It just depends on, do they really want to start the reset now or
not your future though? Like
no, he's not your
Yeah.
future. That's what I'm saying. Do you want to start your reset at quarterback now?
Probably.
Or wait sometime. Who knows? They got a lot to.
New front office, new coach.
Yeah.
Hard to know. Coming up next, we've got today's What Is Wrong With You. And then later on this hour, we'll get back to the NCAA Tournament bracket. It's coming up here on 580 Sports Talk. it's always a glorious time to start the week when we find our first What Is Wrong With You winner of the week here on 580 Sports Talk. Brendan, Dan, Spencer, all here with you on this Monday afternoon. 2 new stories going head-to-head. Dan, I will allow you to go first with our first What Is Wrong With You story of the week.
You know, in this day of technology and cell phones and Snapchat and all of those things, it's really nice to see in-person interaction make a comeback. It's nice to see, good old-fashioned face-to-face interaction. We do everything over our phones or on our computers these days. So I love a good story of a face-to-face interaction, like this 64-year-old man from Fort Myers, Florida, who drove to an airport and made a bomb threat.
Oh.
The man was arrested after being accused of making a bomb threat at the Page Field Airport in South Fort Myers. This happened last Thursday night. According to a report from the Lee County Port Authority, the suspect, driving a white Dodge pickup truck, came into base operations around 7 p.m. and made a verbal bomb threat before leaving the scene. See? Very personal. 64-year-old Greg Poole allegedly went up to the clerks and said he wanted to make a noise complaint about an aircraft flying over his home and spraying chemicals. This is where you say, he's a kook. He said he knew it was coming from the airport because he was tracking the plane. Flight tracker.
Okay.
Wonder if he's a college football fan. Wonder if Greg Poole spends any time online talking about the Knowles.
This dude hates Billy Napier.
The report states Poole asked the clerks if they knew about the FBI building that had blown up. Anyone?
No.
Anyone hear anything about that?
That's a new one.
According to both clerks, Poole then said, if the plane does not stop flying over my house, you will be next, before getting in his truck and driving away. Law enforcement found and arrested Poole at House of Trikes and Bikes. House is spelled H-A-U-S. On Fowler Avenue. He faces charges of making false reports concerning planning a bomb, an explosive, or a weapon of mass destruction, or concerning the use of firearms in a violent manner. That's a very long name for that charge. A shotgun, rifle, and gun were found in the truck with ammunition. Again, that's some interesting writing. Like a shotgun, rifle, and gun. Like all rifles are guns, but not all guns are rifles. Is that how that works?
Apparently.
Yeah, like squares and rectangles.
So... yeah, this dude's a lunatic, obviously. Log off Facebook, my guy. There are other websites. There are other things you can do. Maybe leave a couple of your Facebook groups. That would be my suggestion.
Yes. All right, maybe just ask, like if you are maybe inquisitive and want to know, hey, is that going to stop? I really would like that to stop. What can I do to make the loud noise stop? Like, well, sorry, sir. Just a routine flight like this happens. Sorry, you live close to an airport. Maybe don't threaten to blow up the airport. You don't have to do that. Generally, you can file a complaint. Like there are official channels you can go through to file complaints that do not involve, I'm going to blow this up.
Yeah,
with you in it.
I would not make a bomb threat. Yeah, if I was this gentleman.
But again, I appreciate that he took the time to personalize it.
That's true.
Just sending it from behind a computer,
custom made. My story is going to take us out to the opposite coast. We're going to LA, where footage posted on the Citizen app, people taking videos of each other, shows a silver SUV driven by a woman, driven completely into submerged water near the Venice fishing pier. That's because this woman ended up on the back end of a wild police chase and ran out of places to go. So she tried the ocean. We've got a picture here. I'm going to try to put this on the YouTube if I get a chance, of this car just sitting on the beach. So the force of the waves eventually washed the vehicle back ashore and knocked it off on its side. However, the woman who had been in the car and participating in the police chase, she escaped from the car and was seen swimming a fair distance away from where the vehicle ended up. However, an LA County Sheriff's deputy department boat quickly located her. Video shows deputies tossing a flotation device toward her and hoisting her out of the water. Throughout the entire ordeal, a large crowd had gathered on the pier of the beach and were watching the chaos unfold. Several were seen running down to the pier when the suspect was spotted in the water for a better view. Video obtained by KTLA television on Sunday morning shows the woman treading water as onlookers shouted words of encouragement to her. We don't know what those words were, but I bet they were very funny. A dog was also said to be in the car. Video from Stringer service TNLA shows the dog scampering around the beach, but was eventually comforted by several people with a towel. How nice. What the woman was wanted for and where the pursuit started, those are not immediately yet known. Viewer video obtained by KTLA later Sunday shows a bulldozer towing her car out of the ocean. So she was in a police chase. We don't know why. She ran out of road and thought, what if I tried the Pacific Ocean? And she just drove right into it. Seriously, just drove straight on into the ocean. I'm going to post this picture on the YouTube feed if you'll give me one moment.
The woman's, she got a ways out there, man.
She did.
Like a regular Gertrude Elderly.
Yeah, she was hauling to get out there. All right, so let's put this up. If you're watching on our YouTube feed, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube is where you can go and find us.
I feel like I have to explain that washed reference. Trudy Ederly, no L early in the name. Trudy Ederly was the first woman to swim the English Channel.
Nice.
So
that is a good reference.
Thank you.
It's posted right now if you're watching on the YouTube. And again, this is an SUV that is just stuck in the surf in the Pacific Ocean in LA.
Yeah,
near Venice Beach.
That's tough.
It is very funny.
There's a dog in the car?
Yeah.
Man.
It was running around scared, but then people comforted him with a towel.
Aw.
Yeah. He got taken care of.
Poor dog.
And hopefully taken away from this lunatic. But yeah, there's my story today. So those are our two combatants. The lunatic at the Fort Myers airport or the woman who drove her car into the ocean, thinking that it would help her escape from police.
My lead is the in-person bomb threat. Like, we got a couple of people who obviously something in the brain chemistry is not 100%, but just again, the personalization of, hey, y'all know that FBI building that blew up? No, absolutely not. Like the Murrah building in Oklahoma City, that was many, many years ago. Is that the one you're talking about, sir? Says, well, all that matters is you're next.
Yeah, man, I'm calling the cops instantly if someone tells me that.
Yeah.
Sorry, but that's happening immediately.
I just think on that point, he actually goes there. He doesn't make a phone call.
No, he wanted to make sure they got the
goes in
message.
person.
Is that your pick?
Yes.
That's our winner for today. And what is wrong with you? The in-person bomb threat wins today. Coming up on the other side of this commercial break, back to the NCAA Tournament bracket here on 580 Sports Talk. 442 on 580 Sports Talk. Brendan, Dan, and Spencer here with you. Hit us up either in the YouTube comment section. 580 Sports Talk is where you can find us on YouTube, or you can join us on the Top City Metal Supply text line. What do you think is the most popular upset pick right now in the NCAA tournament bracket?
Are you looking at the correct answer?
No, I'm not. I'm just curious
Okay.
what you guys think.
I think it's probably either James Madison over Wisconsin or McNeese over Gonzaga.
Yeah, I mean, it's either of those two, right? It's got to be.
Both 12 over 5s. Both are programs that don't have a lot of great March history and had some very well-documented struggles throughout this season, though both teams did play better down the stretch.
Mm-hmm. So looking right now, I've got the betting splits open, and I guess I don't have the total number of bets in here, so I can't compare that way, but I've got the betting splits from DraftKings right now, trying to look at who some of the biggest upsets are. 93% of moneyline bets on Long Beach State, Arizona are on Long Beach State. I can tell you that much. People really like the beach in that one. They're a 20.5-point dog. That seems like a lot. I mean, Arizona can score. Arizona can really score. Yeah, a lot of people are betting on McNeese over Gonzaga. 81% of moneyline bets are on McNeese in that game.
According to the bracket breakers on the Athletic and their model, their most likely first round upset based on a double-digit seed beating a higher seed is New Mexico over Clemson. But that's not a Vegas upset. Like Vegas, Vegas over when New Mexico's a favorite.
Interesting. Very interesting. So
I'm trying to pull up the rest of the list. I forgot I wasn't logged on to the Athletic on here. They've got Oregon over South Carolina as the second most likely. NC State over Texas Tech is the third most likely. Those are all 11s over 6s. Their most likely 12 over a 13 or 12 over 5 is McNeese over Gonzaga, followed by Grand Canyon over St. Mary's. Roughly the same odds, only half a percentage point off.
I was going to say, this is from FanDuel Research. Their most likely 12 over 5 is Grand Canyon. They give Grand Canyon over a 47% chance to beat St. Mary's.
Wow. Most likely 13 over a 4. This one surprised you. Sanford over Kansas, 30% chance there. Most likely 14 over a 3. Akron over Creighton, 20.5% chance.
Interesting.
Did you see how Akron won the MAC?
Oh, I did. I felt so bad for that kid.
Oh,
I thought his coach was going to stroke out.
I thought he was going to cry.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to see a grown man, a coach, cry on the sideline. For those who don't know what we're talking about, at the end of the MAC championship game, Kent State took a 1-point lead with like 10 seconds left to play. And that was news to one of Kent State's players who went and committed an intentional foul just after the inbound pass with 4.8 seconds to go to put Akron at the free throw line for 2 shots. Akron made them both and won the game by 1 point. I give their coach and their players credit for being tremendous teammates and leaders in that moment and standing behind that kid who made the play, who gave the foul. The coach said, I should have called a timeout. I should have made sure my kids knew what the situation was. But like, scoreboard, man. Like,
no, you got to pay attention.
Yeah, I appreciate the coach, trying to take the fall, but that's just a unfathomable way, because they were the 6th seed, I believe, against the 2 seed Akron, and just an unfathomable way to lose a trip to March Madness. Like, that was gutting to see happen.
Yeah, that sucks. Damn, I really do feel bad for them for that. What an awful way to go out. It was a fun Sunday of basketball. We had some good games. You watched any of the A10 championship?
Did not. I saw the confetti come down.
Yes.
18 minutes left.
18 minutes left. The confetti streamed down. And of course, Kevin Harlan on the call made that sound great. Duquesne did everything in their ability to give VCU the game.
Yeah, they did.
They did everything possible to let VCU back in, and VCU just could not make a shot at the end of that game. So that was fun. I probably watched less Champ Week basketball the last 2 weeks than I have, and I don't even know how long, just, for various reasons. I just bought a house, have things to do in the house that take up time. Had Washburn basketball the week before. You guys had State, obviously, the week before.
Yeah.
There are very few games in all of sports that hit and just give you that dopamine hit the way the Big Ten championship game does. It is the last game to tip off before true postseason basketball. The selection show is coming up right after that. It feels like one of those monoculture moments. Like at some point, everyone is going to be watching Illinois versus Wisconsin. It was a great game.
It was a good game. Yeah.
Awesome game. Everyone's going to be watching. Everyone is waiting for the bracket. It hits. It is something that you cannot replicate in any other way.
Ended up being a really good game. Like we said, Wisconsin didn't have a great season, but they played really well down the stretch to kind of get right, because they were pretty highly ranked early on. They got off to a great start. Like January and early February was not good to the Badgers, but they played well down the stretch and gave Illinois a tough game. Very high scoring game. Went a very anti Big Ten championship game. But Illinois played some really good ball down the stretch and themselves, and they they're a dangerous 3 seed. Like if they were the 3 in any other regional, I might have them in the Final Four.
They are such a hard team to pull for this year. And I mean, my parents went to Illinois. I grew up, I've said many times how much I loved Illinois basketball as a kid. Terrence Shannon was incredible this past week at the Big Ten tournament. I believe finished second all time in points in a single Big Ten tournament. He was unreal. He had 40 on Saturday. He had 35, I think it was, on Sunday. He's got a looming rape charge in Douglas County, and from when Illinois was in town for football, and he was in town, and it just, innocent or not, acquitted or not, we're not going to know obviously for a long time what happens there, but it's hard to root for that team. Like I like Brad Underwood, I like some of their players. Illinois fans have a really bad reputation in the Big Ten, but I can't root for that team because it makes me feel uncomfortable. And that's just me. I don't want to speak for anyone else, but it was weird to watch it. I thought, I kind of just wish Wisconsin would win this game. I kind of want them to lose the tournament just to kind of be done with it and not have to think about Terrence Shannon anymore this year.
No, I get it.
Why don't we get to a couple of comments here from YouTube and from the Top City Metal Supply text line. First, from the YouTube comments, we've got Vance here. He says, I think Oregon has a good chance against South Carolina in the Midwest region. That's in Pittsburgh, South Carolina, the 6, Oregon, the 11. South Carolina is good. I don't think anyone has watched them. Like, if you just went up to Joe, college basketball fan, and said, what do you know about South Carolina? You're like,
Michi Johnson. Their coach is Lamont Paris.
Yeah, like that might be it. I don't think anyone's actually watched them play a game all year. Oregon's hot. They just won the Pac-12 tournament.
Not only are they hot, they've got a coach who's been there, done that before. In Dana Altman, and against a coach who's never really coached in the tournament before. I think that's an edge. Also, Oregon was missing their center, N'Faly Dante, a Sunrise Christian kid, for most of the season. If you only watched Oregon play Colorado in the Pac-12 championship game, you would think N'Faly Dante was the best college big man since Patrick Ewing.
Didn't miss a shot.
He was unbelievable.
Good player.
Colorado couldn't do anything with him.
Yeah. You're a really good player.
So, yeah, I think Oregon maybe found their identity a little bit in winning the Pac-12. I do have Oregon winning that game.
Jayhawker asked us a little bit ago, true or false, will there be more or less than 3 number 1 seeds in the Final Four? Or will there be 3?
I have 2, so I'm going to go lower.
I have 2 as well.
It does. It feels like, I don't know if it is the coaches or the way that the programs themselves have performed in recent marches, but I can't remember a less trustworthy group of 1 and 2 seeds in all my time following an NCAA tournament. I just look at those teams, I feel like, man, I don't know about those teams.
I mean, just go region by region. UConn they're probably the best all-around team, but they've got a brutal draw. Iowa State also has a really brutal draw, and they just play hideous basketball. UNC, I mean, probably has the fewest warts of any of these, but
I think Hubert Davis is a wart.
Well, there you go. That's a pretty freaking big one.
I mean, at least he's taking the team to a national championship game, but that's not a team that shoots it great. They're really dependent on Armando Bacot. Like, what if they run into a big team like, I don't know, Mississippi State in the second round?
Yeah, that's a challenge. Arizona, why would you trust Arizona at this point? Houston, tons of injuries as we've covered. Marquette might not have their best player. Don't know what Tyler Kolek's situation is.
Also, it's Shaka Smart in the tournament.
Why would you bet on Purdue? Why would anyone do that unless you're Reese Davis, apparently? And then Tennessee, which again is coached by Rick Barnes.
Yes.
Who couldn't get out of the second round with Kevin Durant.
Yeah, it's the coaches and the programs. Like, if you just look at the resumes for those teams, you'd be like, yeah, man, that's a good collection of teams. But the injury concerns and the lack of tournament experience and the lack of tournament success, like, it's not, Purdue lost to a 16 last year. It's, Purdue has lost to 14, 15, and 16 the last 3 years.
Yeah, it's
like
bad.
At some point, it's your DNA.
Here's another question. Not NCAA tournament. Here's an NIT question from Jeffrey. How far you got K-State going in the NIT?
Man, they can win their bracket. The top 4 protected seeds in their bracket are Villanova, Utah, Iowa, and UCF. They beat UCF. They beat Villanova. Granted, both of those games were at home. They have to go on the road against those teams. But, like,
Villanova sucks.
Yeah.
They're garbage. Get them out of here.
They're rank. Yeah, they're not real good. Utah is a very mid Pac-12 team. I think K-State's probably better than that. Genuinely think K-State could win their bracket 100%. Like, do I have a Final Four prediction for you from the NIT? No, I'm afraid to say that I do not. But no, they've got as good a chance as anybody. Like, Iowa does not guard. They are not the kind of team that's going to give K-State fits because they don't guard.
They don't guard at all. No.
So K-State should be able to get out and, like, not turn the ball over 20 times, and maybe they do enough defensively to throw a wrench in Iowa's works, and they win that first game on the road, and then who knows?
They're putting UCF South Florida, a rivalry game, on ESPN Plus.
USF didn't bid to host. South Florida did not bid to host the game.
That's wild.
Yeah, they won the American.
You think they're doing are they doing construction or something?
I have no idea.
Because I know that's why if KU's women had not made the big dance, if they had gone to the women's NIT again, they weren't going to be able to host because they're doing work on Allen Fieldhouse.
Yeah.
They're playing it at Hinkle this year. Did you know that?
With
the Final Four of the championship of the NIT?
I did not know.
Yeah, it's at Hinkle Fieldhouse this year.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. I would rather you do it at cool places like Hinkle or play it at Allen Fieldhouse. Play it at the Palestra.
Yeah.
Play it at don't play it at the Barclays Center. Who cares? What a lifeless building. Who cares? If you're not going to play it at MSG, at least play it somewhere cool.
You know, there are teams with losing records in this bracket. Xavier 16-17.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Georgia's got a losing record. They're in.
They put Georgia in.
Yeah, Georgia's in. God. I mean, they got rid of the rule that says small conference regular season champions get automatic bids if they don't win their conference tournament. They got rid of that rule because they wanted more Power 5, Power 6 teams, and a bunch of the really good Power 6 teams told the NIT to go to hell anyway.
Yeah.
Cool tournament you got.
Nicely done. Good job, NCAA. Great as always. We've got 1 hour left on 580 Sports Talk today. Come on back. We've got our 580 Sports Talk headlines, some Royals news, and we'll get to a little bit more on the NCAA tournament as well. Your texts are still welcome on the Top City Metal Supply text line and in the YouTube comments. 5 o'clock hour up next. the final hour of 580 Sports Talk on this Monday, March 18th. Brendan Dworzinski, Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis. Been with you all afternoon, with you for one more hour. Thank you so much for spending some of your Monday afternoon with us today. We've still got a bunch to get to. We'll talk some Royals. We'll get to some more NCAA Tournament breakdown. We've, of course, got our 580 Sports Talk headlines as well. Hit us up on the Top City Metal Supply text line. 785-272-9429 is that text line number. You can also join us on YouTube. 580 Sports Talk is what you need to search when you get to youtube.com. Subscribe to the channel, and then you can also watch along. Watch the video stream of the show today. Drop a comment and let us know your thoughts on anything we are talking about on the show today. Before we get to today's 580 Sports Talk headlines, I do want to remind you, again, I know I've been telling you a lot today, but it's because we're excited. I know you're excited about it. Tomorrow, 2 until 6, Prairie Band Sportsbook at the Prairie Band Casino and Resort in Mayetta. All you have to do, drive up 75 Highway. Where is that? Right over there, relative to where I am right now. To my right, forward to my right. Like, what is that, 2 o'clock or so?
Yes.
Right up 75 Highway. Turn off at 150th Road. You exit right. Turn left if you're coming from the north, and you get off on your right and keep going to the right. Get to the casino. It is right there. If you haven't been to the sports book yet, you go to the main lobby area, look right. It is right there after you walk in. You can't miss it. It is an awesome setup. Got these very comfy chairs, big open area right next to one of the restaurants. They've got the kiosk there, the desk with our pal Vince and everybody else who runs the sports book. Go over, place a bet. It is an awesome setup. We will be there for the entirety of the show, 2 until 6. They've got all sorts of promotions going on, including the Parlay Your Way promotion. All you have to do, make a bet of $5 or more. It's got to be a 4-leg or more parlay, and the odds just have to be plus 100. That's all the odds have to be, even money or longer. That's it. That's a really good deal for a promotion on a parlay. And then all you have to do, enter that $5 or more parlay wager. You will be entered to win tickets, an all-inclusive package, plus a $500 free bet. But a pair of tickets to Inter Miami versus Sporting KC at Arrowhead Stadium. That's when Lionel Messi's team will be in KC. So you can enter that with the Parlay Your Way competition. And by the way, you can get a $10 free bet if you're one of the first 25 people to come to the sportsbook tomorrow during the show. So it's got to be 2 to 6. But during the show, if you're one of the first 25 people, just go to the desk, say, hey, here's the code, Parlay Your Way, boom, $10 free bet. It is all yours. They've got awesome watch party packages for the college basketball tournament as well. It should be a really fun time. We're excited to see you tomorrow, 2 to 6 at Prairie Band Sportsbook in Mayetta. All right, let's get to the 580 Sports Talk headlines for today. And headline number 1 for me, guys, is that the Chiefs have moved up in the NFL draft order. Did you see this today?
Did not see this.
The San Francisco 49ers have forfeited a 2025 draft choice and were penalized 4 spots for a selection in this year's draft as a result of administrative payroll accounting errors. That was announced by the NFL earlier today. Quote, we take responsibility and accept the imposed discipline from the NFL due to a clerical payroll error, the Niners said in a statement. Continuing on, at no time did we mislead or otherwise deceive the league or gain a competitive advantage in connection with the payroll mistake. According to a statement from the league, a review discovered the payroll accounting errors at the end of 2022's league year, resulting in, quote, a misreporting of the team's cumulative player compensation. The NFL determined the club would have remained under the salary cap at all times, regardless of the error, and there was no intent to circumvent the cap. Even so, they took away a pick and penalized them this year with their compensatory pick in the 4th round. So they go from having picks 131 and 132, I believe it is, to now they had the first pick moved back to 135. And the Chiefs moved up. The Chiefs now have pick number 131 in this year's draft.
How about that?
They moved up 1 spot.
Who? I have so many questions.
Yeah.
Actually, I really only have one question. What?
Yeah.
That covers it all, right?
Someone fat-fingered the keypad. That's what this comes down to. They fat fingered it.
Who got paid more than they were supposed to get paid, or less?
Great question. Kyle Shanahan. Or no, one of his buddies, one of his cronies. Which Kubiak is on staff? Him. That's
Well,
who
they
it
both
is.
were.
Yeah, there might be multiple. Yeah, all the Kubiaks. They got extra money. Yeah. So
What was it? Extra money? Like,
well, it could be either one for that. Too.
What?
Yeah, I've never heard of this before.
I've never heard of such a thing.
I don't know why they had to take away a pick if they were able to prove that they were not trying to mislead. Like, penalizing them with the compensatory picks, dropping them 4 spots, sure, whatever. But why did they take away a pick?
That's so arbitrary.
Yeah, from the first compensatory pick to the last one. I don't know. I don't understand at all. It stays in the 4th round. They already had another pick, so the other pick moves from 133 to 132. So it doesn't really harm them at all.
Like, did it?
This is like, you have to come up with a way to punish them. I don't care what you do, just figure it out.
Yeah, it's not like, hey, we did bad math and it told us we had $10 million under the salary cap, so we signed a starting defensive end and he had 10 sacks and we won the Super Bowl.
The NFL also did bad math here, apparently.
Clearly. Yeah, it takes 2 to tango here, right?
Yeah. I don't know, but it benefits the Chiefs. That's who benefits here. The Chiefs, for really no reason at all.
I'm just completely baffled by that whole thing.
The Chiefs, Bills, and Jets all move up 1 spot in the 4th round this year.
What an odd story.
This isn't quite like when the Broncos were outright cheating to win a Super Bowl and circumventing the salary cap, but close.
Wild.
Do you remember when the Cowboys and then Redskins were circumventing the cap and they got penalized for it?
Well, which was nonsense at the time too, because the rule that year was there was no cap.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was crap. That I don't normally feel bad or pity the Cowboys at all, or the Washington team for that matter.
The Washingtons.
The Washingtons, yeah.
Yes.
But that was junk. That should not have happened. That was nonsense.
Hey, first headline for me with some local resonance here. For the first time since 2015, the Kansas softball team is a nationally ranked softball team. Softball America ranking KU number 20 in its top 25, the first time in 9 years the Jayhawks have been ranked. How did this come to be? Well, the Hawks are hot. They've won 16 of their last 18 games, 19-7-1 on the season. I have some questions about that tie, but neither here nor there. They went 5-0 last week, beat Wichita State in a pair of games, and then swept Baylor in a series. And the reason this has local resonance is a distinctive Washburn Rural High School flavor to this edition of Kansas softball, as the Jayhawks are getting big production from the likes of pitcher Casey Hamilton, utility player Olivia Bruno, and first baseman Campbell Bagshaw, all of whom played their high school softball and lots of other sports too at Washburn Rural. So tip of the cap to all of them and to the red-hot Jayhawk softball team, again, ranked for the first time since 2016. They are at home on Wednesday at 5 p.m., taking on Mizzou in a little softball border war, and Mizzou's ranked too, so that should be a whale of a game.
I hope they beat them into submission. Just absolutely massacre them.
Fun fact, last time they were ranked, they were coached by a coach that went on to coach at Marshall, Megan Smith-Lyon.
How about that?
Now she's at UNC.
Wow, look at all these connections here. Would you like to know why this game ended in a tie, Dan?
Please
Let's
tell
hear
me.
it.
Darkness?
Yes, effectively. So this took place at the NFCA Leadoff Classic, National Fast Pitch Coaches Association Leadoff Classic. It was the final game of the event, February 11th in Clearwater, Florida, KU versus Western Kentucky. This is from the KU press release from that game. The game ended after the 6th as Western Kentucky had a travel curfew it had to make, ending the game at a 2-2 tie at 2:30 in the afternoon.
Hey, man, you got to make that flight.
I get it.
Yeah, that's the way things go.
It be that way sometimes. Would rather end in a tie than a loss if you're KU.
Yeah.
So, you'll certainly take that. No, it's awesome. And they've been playing really, really well. As you mentioned, it's been a while since KU's had this kind of success. Rolling over Baylor like that is really impressive. In fact, they have swept their opponents in going all the way back to February 16th, which was at another one of those non-conference neutral site events. They beat Illinois on February 16th in Leesburg, Florida. Since then, sweep of UTSA, North Dakota State, ranked win over Texas A&M, swept Belmont, lost 2 to UCF, and have won everything else. Beat Creighton, swept Baylor. It's been awesome.
Yeah, and a big chance Wednesday night at home at Rocha Stadium against the Missouri Tigers, who are really good. Again, ranked 16th in the country.
Massacre them. I shouldn't use that word given history. Just destroy them. That's my hope. Rock Chalk. Spencer, your next headline.
My headline here is that Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark is being nominated for Sports Business Journal's Sports Executive of the Year. It's going to be some tough competition for him as he is basically going against people that represent professional sports teams. Jessica Berman, the National Women's Soccer League.
Commissioner of that league, yeah.
Yes, the person I think is going to win this, a little bias here, Josh Harris, the new owner of the Commanders and of Harris Blitzer Sports Entertainment. Jorge Mas, Inter Miami. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Jorge Mas, Inter Miami.
I don't know. Do you get Executive of the Year for just happening to be in Miami where Lionel Messi wanted to live?
Yeah,
like, is that enough to earn Executive of the Year?
I think you guys will laugh at this. Rob Manfred is also an Executive of the Year.
I think he would be a great commissioner of baseball if the league was in prison. And that's where he had to live and stay forever.
And then the other finalist is Mark Walter in the Dodgers ownership group to go along with Brett Yormark.
Dan's personal favorite, obviously.
That Brett Yormark has done an outstanding job keeping the Big 12 relevant and making its events feel like events.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the biggest change that I can really detect in the league, is that the major events that the conference puts on feel like major events. Like the conference championship football game feels like a big deal. The basketball tournament feels like a big deal. And obviously being able to grow the league on the fly with the crumbling of the Pac-12, being able to add 4 members of the dying Pac-12 and get back to 16 members. And he deserves a ton of credit for that. I don't think there's a conference commissioner doing a better job right now from the standpoint of doing the best it possibly can on a national to make the Big 12, to make the conference nationally relevant.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. And Big 12 ever cool before this? Never.
No.
I mean, it really
was the Ag School
wasn't.
Conference. It was proudly uncool, if it was anything, for a lot of years.
I mean, shoot, we used to have, longtime college football journalist David Ubben on the program every week. His Big 12 blog was literally called Flyover Country. Like that's what the brand was. Bob Bowlesby, the most electrifying man in sports entertainment today. He was about as interesting as a cold bowl of soup. Like, there was nothing going on that made you feel like there was any energy in the conference. And now there is. Now Shaq shows up to everything and DJs. Now you have Cool Eats and you have Bape partnerships.
Yes. DJ Diesel on the 1s and 2s.
Oh my God. I am.
So they did that live read like before every game.
Mm-hmm.
It was at least in every half of every game, just like the Big 12 anthem.
So every time the PA announcer intoning DJ Diesel will be on the 1s and 2s. And I thought Spencer was going to hurl himself off the press box at the T-Mobile Center if he heard that.
Yeah. I almost did. That would have been a long fall.
Yes, it would have been. Speaking of, can I get audio here real quick?
You have audio.
So this is a piece of information I think that is going to be specifically interesting to Spencer Dupuis over here.
Hey, Big 12, PL, we don't take a night off. Let's go.
Let's go.
Look, welcome to the Big 12, where every night's a battle till the end. The energy in T-Mobile Center, roll average is a 10. They attack and we defend. The only pass.
Did you ever hit up PL?
I did. I was trying to get him on the show, But he I don't think was genuinely sincere in his interest in coming on the program.
I would talk to him.
was genuinely sincere in having him on the show. I want to know how one becomes a jingle writer for professional sports leagues and college sports leagues. Like, I want to know his process. I want to know what went into writing the Big 12 anthem, like what they told him. Okay, we want you to write a song, 90 seconds. You have to mention Phillips 66. Go.
Sam on YouTube, this is great. They didn't even do the national anthem before every game, but they did the Big 12 anthem every half.
Correct. As they should.
We don't take a night off.
They did have a anthem singer before the start of every session. So every other game.
Okay.
The Wednesday evening session singer was definitely the Wednesday evening session singer.
I can only imagine what the Tuesday games.
Pigtail game singer, like.
Yeah, what was that?
I should be nice.
Kansas City Central Middle School Choir, probably. That's really funny. Was it just off key, or
it was in a lot of different keys? Like I think I turned to Jackson Schneider, mutual friend, who we both know. I turned to him after that anthem on Wednesday. And I said, "What time signature was that in?"
The good 3/4 national anthem. That's tremendous. Oh, that's really funny. Next headline for me. How about a little sports media news for you today? Sports Illustrated is still alive.
Yes.
It has been revived by a company that actually is at least somewhat reputable. Minute Media, which is the company that owns the Players Tribune and Fansided, they have struck a deal with the company that owns Sports Illustrated. So they now have the licensing rights to SI.com, the Sports Illustrated brand, and the magazine. They're going to continue to print the physical Sports Illustrated magazine. It is a 10-year deal that can be there's an option included that will allow them to publish it for up to 30 years. And according to the New York Times, both companies involved here, Authentic Brands Group, which owns SI's license, and now Minute Media, do expect the deal to last for the full 30 years. How about that? After a few weeks ago bemoaning the death of Sports Illustrated and a lot of good sports journalism, it's back, and Minute Media is a real company.
Yes, they are a real company. They would like to feed you like bite-sized versions of things that you can read on your phone.
There's a reason they're called Minute Media.
Yes. So like the fact that it's considered good news that they are buying Sports Illustrated just kind of goes to show you where like just the state of sports media and the state of sports
they also own
print media. Yes.
I knew I'd heard of them.
So I'm just happy that there will be a lot of good people, including, we hope, our good friend Matt Verderame, who will be able to remain in their jobs and continue to crank out the good content that Sports Illustrated is still cranking out. It'll never be what it was ever again. And if you are of the age that grew up reading Sports Illustrated, that is incredibly sad.
Yeah.
But it will continue to be something. It will continue to exist in some form. And that is, we'll take it, I guess, is the best way I could say. We will take that.
Now, I should add here that one of the things that came out with this original report is that they do plan to hire back some of the writers that they fired at this past financial situation they were going through. So yes, it will never be the same. But Matt, actually, who we had on the show earlier, he did tweet that he used to work for them when he was at Fansided. He was first on with us when he was at Fansided for years. So it's like, hey, they're good people. They took care of me real well. So hopefully this is a positive thing. To have it exist and to have sports journalism, that is a good thing.
I'm glad to see them coming back, because last week, some blog website was announced they were closing. I can't remember the name of it, and they're not a great website. I can't remember the name.
It was Deadspin.
Yes, Deadspin.
Yeah, Deadspin sold and fired everybody. And
comparatively to the stuff you're going to get from Sports Illustrated and Deadspin, Sports Illustrated is the better one there.
Old Deadspin was great. New Deadspin was garbage.
It was very bad.
But I'm just happy that
keeping good
one goes down.
Is good.
Yeah. That the bad one goes down, but the good one gets to stay.
Anything else for you today?
A couple NFL headlines, things that have happened today. We've kind of touched on them, so we'll just kind of whip through the things that have happened today. Teron Johnson is the highest paid nickelback in the NFL.
Yeah, eat your heart out, Chad Kroger.
He has signed a 3-year contract extension with the Buffalo Bills. Also today, Alexander Mattison has found a new home. He's going to come to the AFC West. He will be a Las Vegas Raider. I almost said their old home. I didn't do it. I don't have to put anything in the jar. He will be a Las Vegas Raider, signing a 1-year deal. The Seahawks have signed guard Tremaine Antrim, former Los Angeles Ram. If that's the first time you're hearing that name, you are not alone. The Dallas Cowboys have restructured the contract of Dak Prescott as he enters the final year of his deal. Just a bit of accounting to reduce his cap hit. It converts his $5 million roster bonus into a signing bonus and reduces the cap hit for the Cowboys by $4 million, takes it down to a much more manageable $55 million for the year. Good. And also, speaking of Cowboys, former Cowboy Leighton Vander Esch will announce his retirement. Dealt with a lot of injuries late in his career, but when he was healthy, he was a very good player.
He just got cut, I think, last week.
Yes,
because of a medical issue.
Yeah, and that's
the reason he's going to retire.
Yeah. Neck injuries are scary, man. That's something that was hampering him even at Boise State. And the fact he got 6 years and a really good 6 years too is pretty impressive. But yeah, he was an 8-man player. Do you know that? From a town of 400 people, I think.
Like Idaho, right?
Idaho,
or
yeah.
Montana? Yeah. He's from up there. And Boise State.
Yeah.
And a nice little career.
Yeah, heck of a career for him. That'll do it for today's 580 Sports Talk headlines. How about a little Kansas City Royals news? We'll get to some opening day notes coming up here on 580 Sports Talk. We are merely 10 days away from opening day for Major League Baseball.
Really only 3. Dodgers and Padres open up in South Korea, but
Opening day for the Royals.
Opening day for everyone is 10 days.
Yeah, but say the rest of the entire Major League Baseball.
Who is it? Dodgers and who?
Dodgers, Padres.
Padres.
Yeah, they're both already over there. They're playing exhibition games in Korea.
Are they putting them on what? ESPN? MLB Network?
MLB Network, I think, was airing them. I think I haven't seen one. Maybe one of them was on ESPN. I don't know, but yeah. For the games that count, I think they're going to be on ESPN. I think bright and early.
Okay. Well,
maybe not because ESPN wouldn't want to. They didn't want to preempt First Take probably. So
I have to look this up now.
Yeah, now I'm curious
because if they hold this
ESPN.
A national telecast will be available out of market only. Okay. Well, that's fine. I was going to say, if they leave this just on MLB Network, that's a big blunder, I think. Not a ton of people have MLB Network anymore. Do you?
Yeah, I do. I pay. I am a cable subscriber. I'm not a cord cutter. I am a cable subscriber. And yeah, you can get it when you bundle the sports. I get all the sports channels. I even get the Pac-12 network for as long as it's still on the air.
Honestly, I don't even consider YouTube TV cord cutting at this point. I mean, we pay
Is Pac-12
cable.
network going to go off the air at the end of like this baseball, like college baseball season? Are they just going to play like
I
the
would assume
Nearer My God to Thee video that the CNN has in its archives for the apocalypse?
Well, they didn't fully say that when they signed off at the end of the Pac-12 tournament. They sort of left it open like, hey, we don't know what's going to happen, but here's some nice words from Bruce Springsteen. Bye. And I know they're showing spring football. They'll show baseball, softball, I'm sure, probably track, Oregon track anyway. I don't know. I guess it sort of matters what Washington State and Oregon State want to do.
Let's just run old games. Just run like their entire archive.
I mean, if they were smart, they would try to, merge the Mountain West and the Pac-12 brands under the Pac-12 banner, keep all of the whatever, and beg CBS Sports to buy a stake in it and like run the network.
Hey, back to the Dodgers Padres. If you want to wake up at 5:05 a.m., that's when first pitch is our time.
There's a better chance I'm awake because I never went to bed than there is that I want to actually actively wake up at that time.
I just wanted to see what time first pitch was at.
5. Well, I mean, you might catch the final couple innings if you wake up at a normal time. So that'll be nice. Well, I mean, games get over now in what, 2.5, 2:40. So yeah, I mean, if you wake up at 7, you'll catch a couple innings.
It will be on ESPN though.
Yeah,
right. We said that.
Yeah,
I will not do that. I will catch the highlights on SportsCenter.
People are going to wake up and want to watch SportsCenter on ESPN regular, and they're going to be like, I really got to watch baseball at 5:05 a.m. People that don't like baseball will do that.
Yeah, I wanted NBA highlights. I wanted Shannon Sharp screaming at me. Why?
Wrong network, but
no, he's on ESPN.
Oh yeah, he is on ESPN.
Yeah, he's on First Take now.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Jar, my bad.
No, I mean, you're better off not knowing that, honestly. I wish I didn't.
I have never, ever in my life watched an episode of First Take or Get Up or First Things First or Undisputed or Sports Yelling or whatever they're called. I've never, ever, ever turned the TV on any of those shows on purpose.
Yeah, I've seen clips.
Yeah.
Tuned it in for a second, but I've never purposefully watched it.
Like if your thing early on in your day is you don't feel like you can start your day without Mad Dog Russo yelling at you.
I can't imagine we're friends.
Stephen A. Smith giving you an NHL take. Like, I don't know. I mean, different strokes, I suppose.
I have had First Take on before. I used to see it all the time because I used to go to. This is a great story. When I first
get your oil changed,
well, yeah, that sometimes. No, when I get my oil changed now, they always have Channel 13 on, and I'm always there when they're airing 25 words or less with Meredith Vieira, which is on a budget of like $80 an episode. I swear, it is so low budget. Anyway, no, I used to sleep in my old apartment when it was just me before I met Abby and we got married and lived together. I only had one TV. I only had the TV in the living room.
Feel that.
I would turn it on and just bump the volume a few notches and have it on while I slept in the other room. My wife prefers sleeping in darkness, so that's what we do. If it's just me, I have the TV on when I sleep.
All right.
I always had the radio on as a kid, have the TV on.
I used to do the radio at night when I slept. I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
I just a habit I broke. overtime.
Like, first thing I think of when I know my wife is out of town on a business trip or is out, like, not going to be home that night for whatever reason, sweet, I can fall asleep with Australian football on. Hell yeah. I can watch Port Adelaide tonight.
Let me fire up the YouTube app on the Roku. I'll watch some compilations.
Oh, yeah.
I watched like 15 minutes of Brian Anderson's best broadcast calls the other night. My wife's like, why are you watching this?
25 minutes.
I do listen to podcasts and then I fall asleep sometimes.
Yeah. No, I always have audio going or when I'm alone trying to sleep. But so I would wake up and I would just have Sports Center running at night, just on a loop. And I'd wake up and First Take would be on when I would go in to turn it off. So I would see it then. But I have never once in my life watched Undisputed, the FS1 version. Not once. I swear to God, not one single time. And I'm not
tell
going
you what,
to.
that song that they used to have, Jams, the Lil Wayne song.
No, yeah, when he did the open. Now he's a host.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
how far removed I am from that. I used to I had the song saved for a while because I thought it was nice.
I think it's him, Richard Sherman. I don't know. It was one of the Achos on that show.
Got me.
Maybe.
Couldn't tell you.
And then Skip. I don't get it. I don't know why you want people to yell opinions you don't agree with at you. I mean, I get loud sometimes. I don't think I yell at you though.
I think those shows are great if you only believe that there are two NBA teams and they are the Lakers and the Warriors. And there is only one NFL team and it's the Cowboys. Like if that's all you want to talk about, if you are like the Lakers, Cowboys, Yankees fan, like if that's you, like you probably love those shows. That you are the target audience.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Love my Lake show, love my Yankees, love my Tide.
I can't stand any. We have a comment here from Mark on YouTube. He says, "Get Up is good. Everything else is crap." I agree with the everything else thing. I don't like Get Up either. I cannot stand Mike Greenberg. I do not understand. I sorry to get into like radio wars here. I cannot stand the dude.
I did see the one Get Up clip that went viral when they were talking about when Urban Meyer stepped away forcefully from coaching. And they said he was going to go teach a class at Ohio State on leadership. And Marcus Spears and Dominique Foxworth both laughed out loud.
That's really funny. The only funny thing that ever comes from that show, in my opinion, is anytime Rex Ryan is on, someone makes a foot joke.
Yes.
They're like, wow, really got off on the right foot there, huh, Rex?
Yes.
And that's very funny.
That's him.
You know what show I'm happy ended? And it's basically because of Pat McAfee moving to ESPN. This Just In.
I don't even know what that
I've
is.
never heard of
Max
that.
Kellerman.
No.
He would
He had
every
a
single
show?
time every single time he turned to a new topic, he'd go, "This Just In."
I didn't even know he had a show. That's
You're
great
making
bit,
that
though.
up.
No,
That's a great bit.
This Just In with Max Kellerman was an American sports talk program on ESPN hosted by Max Kellerman. The show premiered on September 14, 2021 and aired weekdays at 2 p.m. Eastern
That's a post-COVID thing?
and 11 a.m.
Never heard of it my whole
Yes.
entire life. And like, I don't hate, like, I think Max Kellerman is really smart, like incredibly intelligent. But yeah, I don't care to like hear his sports takes. And I certainly never heard of that show. Like, no, I had never heard of that show.
That is a hilarious bit. Every time there's new information or a new topic.
It is.
That's great.
Yeah, the only reason I know this was because of my last job when I'd work days and nights. It'd be like 2:00 sometimes. I would go home depending on what time we had to be back. So I'd go get lunch and I'd just turn on ESPN and I'd always forget that this dumb show called This Just In is on. And every time he would change topic, This Just In. The Seahawks have blah, blah, blah.
I literally did not know that. That is really, really funny. We did have actual news. We know who the Royals opening day starter is going to be.
This Just In. Cole Reagan.
God, that is a good bit.
It is. I really like it.
Max, we're stealing that. Take note.
He's not using
What
it
is he
anymore.
doing anyways right now?
What is
Where's
he
he
up
working?
to?
He got laid off. so.
Watching boxing.
Yeah, watching like fourth-rate Golden Gloves qualifying boxing. Yeah, Cole Reagan.
Making a list of the 10 greatest Chilean flyweights in the history of boxing.
That man does love boxing.
He does.
No surprise to anyone. Reagans was going to get this. He's the Royals' best pitcher. He's been not great in spring training. I don't really care about that, to be honest with you.
No, he's not letting it eat like you would expect. And he's got 2 Tommy John surgeries into his career. You're saving some of the good stuff for when the games start to count. It is remarkable that this guy is a Kansas City Royal. Like, I just got the new baseball prospectus, the 2024.
Found a hard copy?
No, ebook. And was reading the Royals chapter, and the player comment, I'm paraphrasing here, about Reagan's is, the Royals have been searching and searching for a top-tier starting pitcher and trying to develop a top-tier starting pitcher. And then the Rangers just gave them one.
Yeah.
The Rangers just gave them one for 2 months of Aroldis Chapman. It could go down as one of the greatest trades in Royals history, because I do think Reagan's is legitimately excellent. And if he is able to maintain his health over the next 4 or 5 years, he's going to put up, I think, some eye-popping numbers, because the stuff is legit. The velo is legit. It's coming from the left side. I think he's going to be one of the best starting pitchers in the American League this year. And he's one of the reasons, like, I think in the American League Central it's so wide open that top-tier talent has the potential to be difference making. And you couldn't argue with a straight face that the Royals have the best pitcher, starting pitcher, and the best position player in the American League Central. You can argue that credibly because of Bobby Witt Jr. and Cole Reagans. So Reagan's going to be the opening day starter. I don't know how they're going to line it up after that. Jordan Lyles' place in the rotation is by no means secure. David Lesky has been really tracking how they've been handling innings, and it really does feel like a fifth starter competition. And Jordan Lyles is not he's not winning it. I'll tell you that. He's not pitching well in the spring. Gave up 4 home runs in his most recent outing. So if they can open this season with Cole Reagans throwing on opening day and not Jordan Lyles throwing at the back of the rotation, light it up, kick the tires, light the fires, play some baseball, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, let's get on with that. I was going to say the Rangers probably don't care because, if you get Chapman to contribute, like the Cubs did the exact same thing with Aroldis Chapman in 2016. They gave up Gleyber Torres, who at the time was the number 1 prospect in the farm system and top 10 in all of baseball, gave him to the Yankees because they said, hey, he's not helping us win a World Series. Aroldis Chapman might. And he did. Aroldis Chapman was not good. He had 3 2/3 good innings in the ALCS.
Yeah.
But he was bad in the World Series. He was okay in the regular season. He did not win them that World Series last year. So maybe they do regret it. But they also got a ring. So hard to regret anything in a year when you end up winning a ring. Coming up, we'll get some final thoughts on the bracket reveal for this year. More of your texts to the Top City Metal Supply text line and more of your comments on YouTube as well here on 580 Sports Talk. 547 here on 580 Sports Talk. Top City Metal Supply text line is open, 785-272-9429. So are the comments on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk on Twitter, WIBW News on Facebook. We'll talk to you guys live tomorrow from Prairie Band Sportsbook up at Prairie Band Casino and Resort in Mayetta. There for a full show. First 25 folks who come to the book during the show. So between 2 and 6, first 25 people who come, go to the desk and say, I have a code. It's Parlay Your Way. Boom, $10 free bet right there for you. That's a hard deal to pass up. So we will see you guys coming up at Prairie Band Sportsbook tomorrow.
That is potentially free money.
Yes.
Yeah. If you make a good bet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go make a good bet.
Yeah.
Like mine. All of mine. Good bets. Except last time we went to Prairie Band and I went 0 for 4.
Hey, I actually get to make bets this time.
There you go.
I get to be there.
Yes. We had to make sure we were going to have the whole crew there for this one. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're there for the full show. Michael Swain is going to join us for Jayhawk Weekly, getting ready for the NCAA Tournament. We're going to have a blast with it coming up tomorrow, 2 until 6 from Prairie Band Sportsbook up in Mayetta. Hey, were there any picks when you were going through? I still haven't filled out who I think is going to be in my championship game, but I think I'm going to make it UConn Creighton. Were you as grossed out by this as I was? Like, filling this out, I genuinely was like, I don't know. I don't feel good about any of this.
Yeah, it's like I said at the top, it's very strange to have so few trustworthy top seeds.
Right.
You feel like, oh, I know exactly what I'm going to get from this team on a night in, night out basis, or tournament in, tournament out. I know what I'm going to get from this coach. I know what I'm going to get from this program. It's just not a lot of that in this bracket. And it did get to a point where I'm like, am I really going to put TCU in the Elite Eight? I can't do that. Am I going to put New Mexico in the Final Four? I'm not really going to do that, am I? I'm going to put Alabama, who doesn't guard a soul. I'm going to put them in the Elite Eight. Like, there were a lot of moments where I sort of felt like I had to pull the reins on myself and say, look, man, maybe just take chalk. Like, maybe it'll be a chalkier bracket this year, and maybe some of these coaches and some of these programs that have had really disappointing recent March runs can instead see their way to rewriting their stories. I mean, that is not out of the question. Certainly, we saw Virginia do this. We saw Virginia lose as a number 1 seed. Everybody to a 16, and everybody had very valid questions about the way Virginia plays. Can you win in the tournament playing the way that Tony Bennett wants to play? And then they went and won a national championship. So maybe this is the year Purdue does something very similar where, okay, their guards are a little bit more mature and a little bit more ready to handle the spotlight and handle tough defense and make shots in the clutch. And that combined with Zach Edey's night in, night out excellence is enough to get Purdue to the Final Four for the first time since, I don't know. Like, did Rick Mount make a Final Four when he was playing at Purdue? I genuinely have no idea the last time Purdue made a Final Four.
Purdue basketball,
if they've ever made a Final Four,
has been to a Final Four twice, 1969 and 1980.
Okay, so yeah, first Final Four in 44 years. Like, maybe this is the year that Rick Barnes, instead of having a bunch of maulers defensively who don't score enough to go win a regional, maybe this is the year Dalton Knecht is that scorer. And Tennessee makes that run, and they reach a Final Four. Maybe this is the year Shaka Smart makes a Final Four with a veteran Marquette team if Tyler Kolek is healthy.
When you enter a bracket pool online using ESPN, Yahoo, CBS, whatever, do you name yours like it's a fantasy football team, or do you just have it say like Dan's picks, Spencer's bracket?
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, I did go generic.
Oh, man.
What do you do?
Mine this year is named Sarah Jessica Parker Brown.
What, was Dog the Bounty Hunter Dickinson taken?
Oh, that's a good one. I should have gone with that. I don't know why I thought of Sarah Jessica Parker first, but I did. I thought, oh, Parker Brown. Okay, sure. Yeah, I love coming up with names. I don't think anyone else had good names in our pool yet, though. Are you in a bunch, or do you do like one family pool? Do you enter a bunch?
I enter one in the general contest. I might do another. My buddy's a high school baseball coach back in Colorado. They do a fundraiser for their program. Do one. I might toss in the money for that. But Yeah, I don't enter a ton of pools. A lot of them are just kind of for me.
Okay, that makes sense. That's fair. I'm in a couple. I'm in one with Abby's family, my friends back home. Some guy I know from Twitter wanted me to be in one. I was like, yeah, sure. That one's free. I'll put a shekel or two down.
Yeah, I'm in.
Believe it or not.
I'm in a $5 one. Putting some money down here.
Okay.
With one of my buddies that he's an SID at Carson Newman, D2 Carson Newman.
Okay.
He calls their women's basketball. They're in the national tournament.
Shout out to Seahawk great Leonard Weaver, Carson Newman.
He every year he does it for whether it's the NCAA tournament or for fantasy football.
Okay.
Or not football. Pool, like a pool. Whoever wins.
Yeah. Let's get to one final break, shall we? We'll come on back. We'll wrap up 580 Sports Talk with the final word. Word before we get out of here today. Spencer, you're first.
So I'm not really into like docu-series things about scandals, I guess.
Okay.
But last night I found myself watching Quiet on Set on ID, which is about like Dan Schneider and the Nickelodeon, like the early 2000s, all that, the Amanda Show, Drake and Josh.
Yeah, bad guy.
Yeah, very bad guy. And he also employed bad guys. And the second part is tonight. And Drake Bell, who ironically did some stuff in his life, whether he did it or not, like he apparently was affected when he was a kid as well. So I'm interested to hear about
Give it
that.
a recommendation.
Pretty good so far.
All right.
Final word for me, the NIT is where this Kansas State men's basketball team belongs, but if they're in it, they may as well go win it. And I think they've got a chance to do some damage. I think Jerome Tang is going to have his guys ready to play in a tournament.
Final word for me, KU. Probably not the greatest situation, not the worst one either. If you wanted a better one, should have won more, but hey, maybe this time it works out a little bit better in Salt Lake City than last time. We're live with you tomorrow from 2 until 6 from Prairie Man Sportsbook in Mayetta. Until then, for Dan, for Spencer, I'm Brendan. This has been 580 Sports Talk.